unlocks the Capcom side, the Marvel side, the Veterans, and the Capcom side, the Marvel side, the newbies.
Yeah.
Alright, and with that, we're live. So this is actually the third time trying to record this now, so hopefully it goes well. Just for the sake of being able to get a good version of the intro, I'm gonna just say that again. What's up, everybody? This is Skilled Crom, and I'm joined by a host of just a bunch of people, basically. And I'm joined by at APC Cypher, at OmegaJ12, at Huff, at A Shadow Link from Source Gaming, at Neighborhood Bum, and at I just want to call you at B-Sama because you don't do anything with your actual with your actual username. But at Airborne
Tyler, but I'm going.
My at is actually at Aiden_PC, AIDAN_PC. Remember that. Sorry.
Oh god, no, it's
at
horrifying.
Huff 730111467.
At Huff Numbers.
I don't know how to get rid of them.
He's the sequel to Mario Numbers. You guys
Huff
remember
Numbers?
Mario Numbers, right?
Don't mind if I do.
Okay, but the reason that I've gathered these people here today is because we're going to be talking about Marvel vs. Capcom 4, and we have attempted for about the past 15 minutes poorly to create a spreadsheet where we would be talking about the roster that we would like to see in a new Marvel vs. Capcom game. And we've decided to do a roundtable discussion on it. This was something that I decided to do sort of out of the blue a little while back, and we've laid down some of the groundwork, and now we can talk about that. So I think we decided that there were a couple of mainstays that we were just going to get out of the way first.
Yeah, these are the characters that we I was just going to introduce the second. Oops. Basically, these are the characters that we fully expect to return because they primarily stayed in the franchise since the very beginning. This is with full assumption or knowledge that they will basically never leave the franchise. Allegedly.
Alright, so first off, Marvel. We got Spidey, we got Iron Man, Captain America, Hulk, and Thor. For sure. They will not be leaving.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those five feel pretty safe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I would also look to throw Captain Marvel in there, even though it's Captain Marvel. I just don't see them ever getting over now.
I think Captain Marvel and Black Panther are very safe.
Yeah,
maybe a Guardian of the Galaxy.
I'd say they're safe, but I wouldn't say they're locks. I'd say they're just incredibly unlikely to be cut.
Well, the
That's
usage
fair.
that we're using is mainstay because these are the characters that have been here since the beginning.
Or like 6, 2, or 3.
Okay.
Yeah,
Alright.
like these guys aren't leaving at all. Like we know they're not going to leave.
For clarification purposes, have we actually decided on a size for this roster?
I believe they said 38.
38?
38, yes.
Okay. Alright, let's see here. That gives us about 19 for each side.
Yeah, roughly, you know.
We should just do 40 to give a nice
40?
And even 40 is pretty good because solid 20 on each side, 20 Marvel, 20
There
Capcom.
were no characters in Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, I think, from any Capcom franchise that has sold below 1 million copies. So that is also something to keep in mind.
Yeah. The
How much
aside
did
from,
Asura's Wrath sell?
Not 1 million copies.
Not 1 million? Because I was going to say, a lot of decently credible rumors were actually... excuse me, Jesus, voice lips. They were actually saying that Asura was being planned at some point for DLC for Infinite before all of that got, scrapped because Infinite sold like ass.
Yeah.
Yeah, Asura's Wrath isn't on their million seller list.
I can tell you right now, Asura's Wrath, at least in the States, did not sell anywhere near 1 million.
Beautiful Joe,
30...
also super niche, less than 1 million copies for any of his games. Apparently less than 1 million for any sales overall.
Yeah, Amaterasu, I believe that none of their, no version of Okami has sold over 1 million units, but, together all of them have.
No, you're wrong.
No,
Okami HD sold 1.4 million copies.
Okami HD sold, really well.
Let's go.
Yeah.
It helps that it was a really good version.
I think that's the first time that a Clover Studios game has actually sold more than like 500,000 copies.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm shocked.
Okami overall is at 3.1 million, which is actually not the worst Capcom franchise on the million sellers.
Considering it's like one game and then a spin-off on DS, that's not bad.
Yeah.
Now we're
So,
discussing.
So we got the
Marvel.
like 5 Marvel mainstays out of the way, but have we covered the 3 Capcom ones?
No.
No, we have not. So to start off,
Yeah, I wrote that down on the doc.
You should talk
Yeah.
about the Capcom ones, you pricks.
yeah.
Very subtle.
So starting us off, you know, a controversial pick by many. Some would even say divisive. Ryu, the mainstay series staple of the Capcom franchise, will never leave this fucking game series ever, and we all
you
know
sure?
why.
I think they're gonna
Are
add
you
only
sure?
Dan.
You
I
bastards
don't
are
know.
Are you
adding
sure?
you? What's
MVC4
wrong with
do
you?
that well.
Maybe they
Ryu
could be bold and
Hayabusa
adequate.
from Ninja Gaiden.
Hayabusa. Hell yeah, dude. He's a lock for Fighter 4, remember?
I swear to God, Christ. We'll have the Smash discussion next week at 5.
Don't make me
So when we
remember.
all yell over each
I
other.
will drag up the Brew Elfin saga, like, from its grave and present it to you on like the dinner plate.
God.
Eat.
Please don't.
Eat.
Whatever it is.
I was slightly wrong. Strider and Darkstalkers are also not million sellers.
Well, yeah, but
Yeah,
they
they were
in
in Infinite.
Well,
Well, Darkstalkers is just Morgan having just crossover clout at this point.
Yeah.
Is Bionic Commando a million seller?
Yes.
Okay.
That's
I
not.
don't know enough about that series.
Dude, millions of people signed up for Nathan Spencer and his radical.
Radical wife arm.
I was trying so hard to say wife arm, but my brain forgot like like anything else about that game.
I am willing to bet that out of the million people that bought Bionic Commando, 99,999 of those were Combo Fiend and his alternate accounts.
Dude, it's so difficult for me to think of
Listen.
anything other than wife arm when I think of Bionic Commando 2009 that I thought about it
Bionic
for 5
Commando. Go ahead.
I thought about it for 5 straight seconds, and all I could think of was dreadlocks.
What I know about Bionic Commando 2009 is it's made by the people who made Payday, which is fucking weird.
That's really weird.
But it did sell 1 million copies, so that's why we see Dreads instead of the rearmed design as the default.
Also, Dreads is just funny. Like, I remember nothing about that game, but I remember thinking it was hilarious. Whether it was intentionally hilarious, I have no idea, but...
I think we could actually probably add one more character to the For Sure Capcom locks, and I believe it's one that everyone here knows and loves. It's going to be our boy Dante from Devil May Cry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but he's not really a mainstay though, because
Well,
he didn't appear until the 3rd game.
to be fair in that regard, he is sort of the non-spoken, like, for the Capcom character now, because I have a feeling, aside from a Resident Evil character, I feel like Dante is sort of in that position where he's not going to leave the roster on the basis of it. He's the face of the Devil May Cry series.
Okay,
Like,
so
yeah.
I think
like,
what it is that...
I think if we're including like characters that weren't in the first game in this discussion right now, Dante and Chris Redfield are guarantees.
I
Yeah.
actually would argue Chris
So-
Evil
Redfield.
Villain. Chris
It's
I feel like-
interesting that you bring up Chris, because I was actually going to say, Dante is probably the 4th lock for a Capcom character, because Resident Evil and Mega Man are bigger like franchises and are more likely to get representation. But it's always up in the air what that representation is going to be, because nobody can decide on what the Resident Evil rep will be. I know that you were a big fan of Chris, but there are a lot of people in Infinite that were looking at Chris like, Chris had his time in the sun. When is literally anybody else?
Yeah,
I
I,
Resident Evil
I
had
feel
such
like
big-
Jill
We're
is more
having a-
popular, but like Jill would require a new model and moves.
Yeah.
I think they're all going to require new models and moves.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
actually
New models, yes, but animation data probably not.
I don't know. Wouldn't they?
The thing with
Can they just like make her kind of like play like she did in 2?
no.
Yeah.
They would have to
No,
I
because
would
two
love
was
animations.
two was a 2D
Jill
game. They
and
would have to
Jill.
completely redo it.
not
Yeah.
only
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
the
Never mind.
thing about the Resident Evil character that specifically comes to mind is the fact that the cast is rotating, and you could argue the same thing about Devil May Cry having Nero and Dante switch out between being protagonists. But with Resident Evil, the reason Chris was the protagonist, or like at least included in 3, was because he was the protagonist of 5. Jill, Wesker, and Nemesis, only of the Resident Evil characters that were included in 3, one of them was not from Resident Evil 5, if that makes any sense.
Mhm.
And
I would also like to throw this out there, but with RE8 coming out soon, there's no way that they aren't going to put Chris in over anybody else.
Bear Chris.
Yeah.
Let's
Bear
go.
Chris.
True. Bear Chris.
Bear Chris.
Bear
yeah,
Chris.
Also on
that
the
man is
spreadsheet,
the size
somebody
of a brick.
on the spreadsheet the Marvel newcomers and Capcom newcomers are switched. Can we fix that?
Oh yeah, I gotta give me that.
So like, now that I'm kind of thinking about it, if they put so like if Ethan, because you know he's going to be the main pro tag of 8 and as well as 7. So
Well, he doesn't have a
I
face.
imagine he doesn't have a face. So what I think is going to happen is that the entire game is just going to be like in first person.
It's the exclusive first-person mode previously
First
seen
person mode for,
in
for,
the Switch version of
yeah. No, I was gonna say
Street
it's for
Fighter 2.
PlayStation. Yeah, it's gonna be like the what is it, the PlayStation VR.
Well, here's the thing. It would be a very bold move to include a VR mode with only one character and swap perspectives on the fly. Very bold. Very
Oh,
much
God.
a Capcom move.
Yeah.
Don't know about you, but motion sickness is a factor I'm worried about in this game.
I could
Also,
feel like Ethan as a character.
Well, I wouldn't worry too much because I think if it was a real thing, no one would play it.
Ethan as a character.
Ethan's very unlikely though.
Yeah, if he did get in,
Not fair.
he's
They
level 3
literally-
would switch to first person. Definitely.
They
I think they're
literally
gonna
finally made a render for him in Resident Evil Village, and his face is blacked out.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way,
If they're
like-
gonna, I think if they're gonna add another character aside from Chris, it's gonna pull from Resident Evil 2 or 3, the remakes, because I feel like those did more than well, and I feel like they have enough material to pull from
so this is not related to the Resident Evil discussion, but Huff has been trying to get us both in the spreadsheet and in the conversation for about 2 minutes to talk about Morgan and Chun, because we mentioned Dante is the 4th Capcom mainstay, but we actually never talked about 2 and 3, and it's Morgan and Chun-Li. They're never going anywhere. We all agree they're never going anywhere.
there. Chun-Li's not going anywhere. I am calling out Thorgy right here and right now.
Poor Thorgy, man. But
Morgan's,
yeah, him not having
yeah.
Thor and Chun-Li is just still so weird.
Morgan's not going away, but you know she's never getting a new game.
Yeah, Morgan's game has become the Versus series. She's just known for it now more than Darkstalkers, which makes me sad.
Well, because every Marvel Coomer who comes into MVC is like, ooh, lady with boobs, I'm gonna play that.
Can we not call
How
them
dare you.
Coomers?
I was about to say, how dare you? We go unga bunga, motherfucker.
We go unga bunga.
But it's just like,
in this house.
There's
Western people who come from the Marvel side of it, they see Capcom and I experience this a lot. They see Capcom as like this daunting side of the game because they know like a lot of them know none of the characters sometimes. So it's like you gotta have that like easy pick aspect. And Morgan has that easy pick based on aesthetics. Like you can pick her based on her aesthetic and enjoy playing as her.
Well,
Which is good for her being in the.
because she's
versus.
also a Shadow,
Yeah.
yeah,
like, essentially.
she's a Shoto.
It's because
I
I think there is like a point to be made there. Is like Morgan has become such a mainstay because she's got like a very unique visual design from like most of the rest of like the cast, and just like like a simple, easy to pick up playstyle that is also like very easy to get reward with, because I don't know if you guys are I don't know if all of you guys have played a lot of Marvel, but Morgan isn't exactly well known for being bad.
Yeah.
Let's put it like that.
She's always
if
towards
they
the top of the tier list.
if they want a character that's easy for the MCU audience to recognize, they can add the most iconic Resident Evil character, Alice.
Gone. Right now.
God, I think the thing about that is that most people that know Resident Evil because of the movies probably still wouldn't be able to name a character from those movies.
Yeah.
Except
I've
for
watched the
Alice.
movies and I didn't even know her name was Alice.
I'm excited for the new movies, though.
I'm not.
Man, that new Resident Evil movie with the giant monsters.
What were they
Those
calling
monsters
that?
are gonna
Resident
look.
Evil Monster Hunter?
Those monsters are gonna look real good, but that movie's gonna be real bad.
It's giving me some
Resident Evil Monster
Transformers
Hunter edition.
vibes.
So tangent aside,
Right.
Let's
guess-
talk Mega Man.
Yeah, let's
Yeah,
drop
Mega
Resi
Man-
for now. We can get to Resi later, because Mega Man's a
I-
lot more simple. So, do we all agree that Rock should come back?
Bring back classic Rock, yes.
The
I feel like the perfect representation for Mega Man would be either do X and Dr. Wily, or do Mega Man and Zero.
I
I'd go for
think
the
Zero is a guarantee.
yeah,
Zero's
Zero.
coming back.
I think Zero is the mainstay, but it's up in the air between X and Rock.
Personally,
I- I-
I'm always
Wily be
I'm always a
actually-
big fan of having Mega Man be represented through multiple different series rather than just having one. That's why in MVCI, I like that we have X here. I like that we have Zero, and I enjoy playing as Sigma. But at the same time, while I enjoy playing as all those characters and I like all those characters, I also do think that it kind of sucks that all of our Mega Man representation just comes from X. I feel like the obvious route is Rock and Zero, but the fun route is X and Proto Man.
Well, you can also here's the
Yeah.
thing: Mega Man has multiple generations to span, so really, it's the franchise itself is pretty much safe. I think it's a guarantee that we'll always get a Mega Man character, hence that's why I put it there. It's just a matter of what direction do they want to go, and why is it Zero? But
I think a big reason that X exists in Infinite is because of very similar bone structure to Zero, so they can copy animations.
yeah.
No.
Well, not to mention X. The X
If-
series is considered the most popular of the bunch.
If I had
You say that, but
my
I
druthers,
I
what I would
played
say-
it. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
if I had my druthers, I'd say we keep classic Mega Man because we just had Mega Man 11. He's in Smash. He's basically the most popular Mega Man right now. We add Zero because he's an MVC mainstay and is the coolest. And then I feel like to round things out, my personal pick would be also bring back Tronbon, but that is for later, I suppose.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's like, well,
counteract that with
first
a-
off, that's for later, and second off, one thing that I actually wanted to do with this roster that I feel like I should bring up is that part of what made Marvel vs. Capcom 3's roster so fantastic is not only was it like pretty well balanced overall and had, with the weird exception of the fact that like Mega Man was missing and Venom was missing, I feel like it had a good balance of representation for the different series involved. It had a couple of like obvious picks, a couple of like picks that were promotional but still fun, and a couple of like weird side picks. And it also, like the thing that I feel like a lot of people forget about that roster and why it's so good is that most of the characters in MVC3 were either newcomers or were heavily revamped from the way that they were in MVC2. So if they wanted to sell me on a new MVC game, the way that they would do it is not by having a large roster, but by having a fresh roster. So in that way, like while I love Tronbon, I really feel like Tronbon is the ultimate example of a character that's like had their time in the sun. And
That's fair.
if we want like new like fresh newcomers, the best thing to do would be to get some like fresh new characters in there.
I 100% agree with you. I was gonna bring that up eventually.
I
If,
suppose I'm
uh,
looking at it. I suppose I'm looking at it less through the Marvel vs. Capcom lens, and I'm looking at more like, gee, Smash Brothers Ultimate was cool. Wouldn't it be great if Capcom and Marvel could just do that? But that's not
Yeah.
that's not the goal
But
here.
then we end up
I,
with
uh,
an 80 character roster.
If we're gonna
Could
go
we end
by
up with-
sales for Mega Man, there's only 6 Mega Man games that have sold over 1 million copies, and only one of them is a Mega Man X game. So
Really?
Rock would actually be the better choice for sales.
True,
So then
but,
Rock and Zero.
true, but again, the fact that Asura was probably planned for Infinite, and the fact that we had like 2 Clover characters in MVC3, and apparently the fact that Gene was also considered, like Gene from, Gene, My Game Sold Badly, God Hand.
Yeah.
I feel like we can safely
only
say that
PS2 game I
it's
own.
not as it's probably not as much of a factor. Although I will say that recognizability is a big thing.
I think it's
Oh.
a matter of what jives well with not only just the audience and the fans, but also what they can conceivably do. Because we have learned from the past that some characters don't make the cut on the basis of their implementation is a pain in the ass. Because we're all aware of the Doc Ock situation that
Mhm.
happened back
Yeah.
in 3.
Yep.
And we all know
Yeah.
about the cut characters for one reason or another. So I think it's a combination of like what sells well, what jives well with the audience, and what can we feasibly do. So I don't really think any characters out of the question so long as it's possible.
Right.
So
Can I bring something to the table?
yes.
Another thing that Marvel vs. Capcom also tends to do sometimes is that they like to have component characters, as in like there's counterparts to each other. Like for instance, like having Dante and Deadpool fight off in a trailer. That's really good marketing because they do end up having a lot in common. I feel like that's something that's very strong, and I feel like that's something to keep in mind.
Yeah.
Infinite
Yeah.
had team-ups too with characters who kind of have similar elements, which, like, the one that sticks out to me is Ryu and Hulk, because that's like actually a really smart combination, because they're both kind of struggling with that inner
Monster
demon.
Within. It's Monster
Yeah.
Within, basically.
Yeah, Monster Within.
Yeah, the
MVCI
we
sure
think-
had
do-
a couple of cool ideas that it did like one cool thing with each, and then
Never
shat the
again.
bed.
Yeah.
Do we
I really
think
like the
they're
pairing
going to keep the Infinite like setting and give Thanos the Satsui no Hide?
I hope
please
not.
God, if he shoots a fucking Hadouken, I will buy this game immediately.
He did it in the post credits for Infinite.
No, he didn't. He charged it up. He
it
didn't
cuts
fire. That was,
He
that-
was about to fucking murder Death with a Hadouken.
bro. Like,
While we're on
No.
that topic, should we just talk
Bro.
about Thanos right now?
bro, you have
Yeah, let's
no
get it out of the
fucking
way.
idea.
Thanos is
Okay.
guaranteed.
Okay.
Like, no question.
Okay.
Thanos is guaranteed.
I just
Thanos?
had the biggest brain idea
What's
for Thanos. So, my pitch is that Thanos is not just a combination of the Thanos that we see in Infinite, but he also acts as the counter in this game to Akuma. Which
Yeah.
means he gets the Akuma super move.
We call it the Akuma Hatata.
Akuma Mawana?
If you call it the Raging Titan, that would be really good.
The
Raging,
Oh
Titan
my
sounds so
God.
kick-ass.
Don't make me want this because I'm going to be disappointed whenever they do reveal Marvel 4.
Yeah.
I like the idea of make Thanos the Akuma function is probably something that's too ballsy for me to have ever thought of it, but
See,
Raging
the
Titan's pretty raw.
I guess bringing
Yeah.
up Akuma, we do have to kind of bring him up because he has been a staple of the first series for as long as the others. And
You know what?
the thing about
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, go on. No, I was going to say, like, the thing about Akuma is, correct me if I'm wrong, but he was in Children of the Atom, correct?
Mhm.
Like, Yeah, so he was there prior to fucking, the Marvel vs. Capcom series taking full form. So I think
My thing. Oh, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, I was just gonna say, I really agree. Akuma's really the reason that the MVC series exists. Without Akuma, we wouldn't have MVC. So I understand why there were a lot of people that were upset with Akuma not being in MVCI, and I think that he is like a mainstay, important part of the roster. That being said, I don't want him in anymore. Get him out. Give us somebody that's not a Shana clone from Street Fighter, please. We already have Ryu and Shun. If we're getting another Street Fighter, please just make it like somebody with a unique moveset. I'm begging you.
If I were to add another...
They don't really need it.
Here's the problem with Akuma, because Akuma exists in Street Fighter to basically be Hyper Ryu, except this is a hyper fighting game, which means we already have Hyper Ryu.
My idea for a Street Fighter villain, I feel like we gotta have a Street Fighter villain. I feel like Akuma's been used. M. Bison's kind of a boring pick. I'm gonna say Jury.
Yeah, I like Jury.
Jury's popular. She's more popular than Gil is, and he was gonna be an Infinite.
I think Akuma may be DLC material, but not main game. Because
let's just go for main game.
But I would even argue, and this is going into further discussion of Newcomers, I guess, because we're not organized. Jury is overwhelmingly popular within the Street Fighter fandom. Like, it is
Wonder
insane.
Why.
Yeah, no, I can't imagine.
I can't.
But,
it's not like a trend started on Twitter because of
because of Unga Bunga.
Because of her legs.
Yeah, but
wait, that was Jury?
Yeah,
I imagine that. That's where I imagine where most of the inspiration came from, because that's like her signature pose.
Oh my god, for real?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I always thought that her signature pose is when she has like the leg up and she's got her arm resting on the leg and it's all smug.
Well, she also does the leg stretch thing too.
That's true. That's just a Taekwondo thing.
Yeah. I guess like going back to the main topic of Jury, like the thing about Jury is she's not only just a huge popular, Street Fighter character, she's also a really popular choice for Marvel. Because let's face it, had Marvel 3, for example, come out about 6 months later,
Jury would have been in MVC3 for sure.
Yeah, she would have completely replaced Crimson Viper.
Nobody cares about Sea Viper.
Yeah.
I think I've met one person ever that cares about Sea Viper.
They were probably lying.
They
were in the SG server.
Yeah, they were lying. Okay, so if we're going on to Newcomers, I actually had an idea to bring up. Like, if we're okay with just bringing this up because, like, we're in the moment. Monster Hunter is in a weird place because the main creators don't want to have a generic monster represented. But Monster Hunter is such a big thing that
they don't want a generic hunter. You forgot the hunter.
The operative word in this sentence,
Yeah.
Sorry. I was gonna bring up, how do you guys feel about having like a Monster Hunter Stories character?
I don't think they'd be down for that either. But I do think one of the ideas that they floated around was like a feline, like a palico.
Yeah. I can see.
A palico would be cute and to be a good rival for Rocket, but at the same time, I wanted to actually discuss the Monster Hunter thing because it's something that would happen eventually. So it's common knowledge at this point that like 9 years ago, the Monster Hunter developers said no to having a Monster Hunter in MVC3. But I have actually said on record, I've claimed that they didn't want a Monster Hunter in Infinite, and I have searched up and down, far and wide for like a source on that, and I have not found a single source that says that.
There is no source.
Yeah, outside.
But it is conjecture.
But yeah, it's like MVCI was created without a lot of outside input from the rest of Capcom. You could tell from the reaction that Itsuno and Langdon had to Dante's portrayal. You can tell from the reaction that people from inside Capcom reportedly had to the way that the game looked. But at the same time, like, look at the way that Monster Hunter has been sort of marketed lately. Rise is putting a big focus on the human characters. There's a lot of promotional art of hunters because of Monster Hunter World. We're getting like Nindoroids and Figmas of Monster Hunters. The Kirin armor was in a piece, like an art exhibition as one of the characters with the Tezuka thing that happened recently. I feel like they might actually be getting over the whole Monster Hunter, like not wanting that to be a character thing.
I think that a lot has changed since Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, in that Monster Hunter has become Capcom's like biggest franchise, basically, since then. And I feel like I've been actually advocating that I think Monster Hunter is going to be in Smash 2, but I feel like at this point, the Hunter is a pretty damn likely option to return. Either that, or we're going to get big characters again, and we're going to have Rathalos arm wrestling Sentinel.
Dude, I was actually going to say, how sick would it be if they just dropped into Rathalos?
Yeah, I think Rathalos actually, as a giant character, even if they're only a boss in a story mode, is more likely than a hunter.
Now here's my Gigabrain prediction. We get giant characters. They announce Rathalos. You hear stomping. From the Marvel side, they introduce Bing Bang Boom. All bets are
Yes.
off. We just
That
lose
would
our
be
shit.
dope.
That'd be pretty sick. Giant characters in MVC would be the most gimmicky thing ever, but it'd be based. So I
But
guess...
also-
Oh,
Would Bing Fang Foom be the best choice of giants? Like, you've got the World Serpent, you've got a bunch of different giant characters that...
Devil Dinosaur.
Yeah.
Galactus.
Devil Dinosaur would be...
Galactus.
Oh, Devil Dinosaur
You know,
would actually be hype. I
Galactus.
would be down for that.
Hold on.
Galactus
Galactus
was in-
compared to a Rathalos is fucking huge. I'm not sure you know about how big fucking Galactus
Galactus had his chance.
Just also have consistent height. Let's be real.
Well, I mean, also the fact that Galactus was the final boss of 3, so here he is just casually being a part of the roster.
Right.
Like, hey guys, I'm here for my paycheck.
I could see a Silver Surfer that calls in, like, Galactus attack more likely than Galactus himself.
What if
Wasn't-
Silver Surfer has a fucking super move like Jin, where he just has Galactus punch?
That would be fun.
I feel like we've discussed all of the major like lock-in franchises and characters, both from Marvel and Capcom.
No, I've got one more lock,
Sure.
which is Frank West.
Oh,
Yeah.
of course. I was gonna
Yeah,
mention
Frank's
West.
happening.
I've
I was
heard
gonna
I've
bring up
heard down the
Frank West, I was
grapevine.
expecting you would.
I've heard down the grapevine that they are planning to revive Dead Rising in some way.
Please, God, I'm begging
I
you.
can't wait for a Resident Evil style movie.
Whatever it is, please let it be good, because Dead Rising hasn't been good in like 10 years.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, most of the staff left after 3.
That's
Yeah.
fair.
I think the thing with Dead Rising, do we categorize Frank under mainstay or veteran? Because
I'd
like,
say
I'd
he's
say
a
veteran.
mainstay. I'd say he's a mainstay.
Okay, well,
We can argue that he's a mainstay because of TVC, because he's been in more than just MVC.
He's
That
also
is-
one of the biggest Capcom franchises, so it'd be weird if he wasn't there.
yeah. Well, I mean, Monster Hunter is under veteran, so it's in a weird position. It is.
Monster
feel
Hunter's
like we
in a
should
weird place
abolish
because
the
we
different-
don't know who it is.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I feel like we should abolish the categories and let it be like one column so we know how much space we have left.
Yeah.
I have totals down below.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Thank
Okay,
you.
cool.
Thank you. That's
yeah,
very
I
good.
don't know if anybody
So,
saw
like-
it, but expected yield should be 20 each.
Okay.
The Capcom franchise hierarchy is Resident Evil's at the top, and then Monster Hunter, and then we have Street Fighter, and then Mega Man, and then we have Dead Rising.
Really?
No, wait.
Dead Rising's even
Yeah,
above
so-
Devil
No,
May
wait.
Cry.
Devil May Cry, and then Dead Rising.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say
And
that's
honestly,
actually
at this
shocking.
point, I feel like anything Street Fighter to Dead Rising could rotate depending on
Mm-hmm.
Tales on recent games.
Right.
They have been saying that their 2 premier franchises are Resident Evil and Devil May Cry now. So I think a lock
Not even
for
Monster?
Capcom Newcomer is Nero.
Nero, yeah, I was
Yeah,
about to say
I was
Nero is
yeah.
the most likely Capcom newcomer.
Yeah. If
I
it-
wish it was V, but Nero is definitely the stay, so...
V would
Yeah.
probably be the most interesting character to put in the fighting game.
I feel
I
like
think Virgil can have a transformation from like into V for like a short time.
Whoops.
I think if we get any like representation of V in Marvel vs. Capcom, it'll be a super move that Virgil can do.
Yeah.
Like what he does in
Like what he does in the trailer for Special Edition.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how a lot of people are going to feel on this, but given that our expectation going in is Dante is for sure staying, and then Nero is that character who will finally make the jump to playable. How do we feel on Virgil being included with the 3?
I think it would just be 2, honestly.
I think Virgil.
I
think Virgil is so popular. They are so intensely aware of how popular Virgil is now that there's no way he won't be in either as DLC or main roster. But I think he's much more likely for a main roster, and the reason why is because a lot of Virgil's moves share animations with Dante's.
But might I say, every time they add DLC to a game in the Capcom game, you know Virgil's gonna be there. So
every time.
He's called. It's featuring Virgil from the Special Edition series.
Yeah.
Including Virgil mode.
Including Virgil mode.
That's
now
the
I'm
new
motivated.
Now I'm motivated.
While we're at it, I think we should just get the 2 obvious, or I guess the 3 obvious ones out of the way for the Marvel side for returns. Black Panther, Captain Marvel, and Deadpool.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, Deadpool. I'm actually surprised we named those 3 in particular because Wolverine still hasn't been discussed because, you know.
Yeah, and then there's the next 3 for Marvel, which is Wolverine, Doctor Doom, and Magneto.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You really think they're gonna bring back all 3?
I
think there's not a universe. At least Magneto might be DLC.
Right.
Magneto might be DLC, but there's
Wolverine
not a
is coming back.
universe.
No.
Yeah,
there's no way Wolverine's skipping out.
There's not a
Wolverine is
universe
safe to
where
come back.
Wolverine and Doctor Doom are the first characters used in a crossover promotion with Fortnite, where Wolverine and Doctor Doom don't make base roster for MVC.
Yeah, I feel like Magneto is probably the wild card there.
You know damn well the reveal of MVC4 will have Wolverine and Ryu shaking hands.
Yeah, because fuck you, Cyclops.
Fuck Cyclops.
I love how you got
Cyclops.
whenever we did kill the cast for an MVC. Like I had 3 people ask me to kill Cyclops before the game even started.
Since we're bringing that up, how about we bring out the one true character for Capcom that needs to return? Mingo.
Oh my god, I saw you write that on the fucking spreadsheet before we even started.
But actually, it's a good thing you mentioned that because we won't.
Yeah.
Who is Amingo?
Yeah.
Oh my god,
the
I'm
MVC2
posting a
OC.
pic right now.
They are the Cactus OC.
He's the
Marvel
Cactus
2.
Man from MVC2.
Yeah.
I
With a
think
funny
if,
little sombrero.
If any OC is likely to come back, it's more the God, I forgot her name. You guys are probably
Ruby Heart.
Yeah. Ruby Heart is probably possible.
Go!
Yeah.
All right.
I think that the OCs are in a weird position of, I think that Capcom would want to focus on their franchises first, and I think as DLC, there's a potential for one of them. But for base roster, I don't think they pull Ruby Heart unless they were trying to be like, yeah, we're really pulling for Marvel 2 nostalgia right now.
I think Ruby Heart. I feel like Ruby Heart was in MVC2 because they were planning for her game, and they were. But that didn't happen, so that's why we've never seen her again.
Yeah, well, same thing happened to Mingo, if I remember correctly.
Well, the thing with Ruby Heart is she's in a weird position of Capcom acknowledges her existence, but only through concept art and like other
And like
forms of media.
cameos, like isn't like in Street Fighter 5 there's like an outfit for her or something?
No, there's just straight up concept art of Ruby Heart as a character, I believe. Like they just
like Ruby
draw
Heart
character.
as a character exists in the Street Fighter universe, but not the same Ruby Heart that's in MVC2. Just a pirate woman that happens to be named Ruby Heart.
What fucking year is it in the Street Fighter universe? Because we live in perpetual
Current
state
year
of-
in
it's-
parentheses.
current year. By the way, this takes place in the 90s. If you want to get technical.
Hey, I think for
Yeah, I remember
Capcom
Street Fighter-
Newcomers,
Yeah.
a potential wild card is Akira from Rival Schools.
Oh,
Dude, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Definitely.
Akira.
And like, if it's not Akira, like it's definitely like Batsu or Kyosuke.
Kyosuke.
I think them choosing Akira for Street Fighter V basically seals that if we do get Rival Schools, it will be Akira.
Yeah.
Well, Akira is like the most popular character out of that whole franchise.
Yeah, and
Like,
they
Oh, hey.
Itsuno has been talking in interviews about bringing that franchise back, so that might actually be happening.
Yeah.
There were 3 more characters from the Capcom Vets that I wanted to ask about before we move on to like newcomers for sure, because I feel like we've got a decent amount of vets back from both. But the 3 that I wanted to mention, first off, well, actually, we'll make it 4. First one I wanted to mention was Arthur from Ghosts and Goblins.
Mm-hmm.
Then I wanted to talk about Strider.
Oh yeah,
And
Strider's
then-
probably a good one to consider likely.
Mike
Well-
Hagar is one that I wanted to bring up too.
Yeah.
But then the final one I wanted to bring up is one from the original MVC that I feel desperately needs to come back, and that's Captain Motherfucking Commando.
So the problem with like adding in all of these characters is that it would give us a very limited amount of room for like
Oh,
newcomers. Like I said, I do want to like kind of trim the fats and bring in like fresh faces. And the issue is that like half of these characters are really raw, and then the other 2 are from like classic Capcom mainstay franchises. But I really feel like they're like really big examples of had their time in the sun.
I just wanted to throw them out there to see what you guys thought about them.
Mhm.
So,
I have 2 more also. Spencer. Spencer's coming
Oh,
back.
yeah, damn it, I was
Spencer's
hoping
coming
you
back.
would-
No.
I guess,
Spencer's coming back. Bionic
Superman
Punch,
early.
never leaving.
Well, all right. I guess let's do.
I will
let's
show up
before.
at Capcom's office and tell them not to put Spencer in the game.
But I also feel like another possible inclusion, because they've been trying to bring Onimusha back, is Sookie. Sookie is the only Onimusha protagonist not based on an actor's likeness, and he was in Tatsunoko vs. Capcom. So they have animations and assets to pull from to base him on.
That technically could be a Capcom newcomer.
Well,
Could be a
yes
veteran.
and no, in a
Because
way.
the Versus series, they're all no.
One thing I would want to bring up for the Capcom veterans, we didn't mention Phoenix, but Phoenix.
Yeah.
I feel like
Phoenix
Phoenix,
kinda
Phoenix would be
Phoenix-
weird because I'm assuming that this game is either going to be UE4, which probably, or RE Engine, and
Right.
Phoenix. Oh boy, Phoenix. He's the
Phoenix
only
did not get
character.
RE.
He is the only character I can think of out of the entire like Marvel vs. Capcom 3 cast that would never ever work in a realistic art style.
Well,
I would like to counteract that with Super Scroll.
Well, then
Ooh.
Oh wait.
Super
This
Skull's
is-
still fine because he still fits the Marvel art style.
Well,
MODOK.
in this case, I could argue that we understand that the RE engine can be used for more stylized games. Like we've seen now that they're starting to use it, like the storytelling sequence that they showed off in RE8. We know that they don't have to just rely on photorealism being the big draw. And I
Yeah.
feel like with the response that was Infinite's art style being, let's face it, it was fucking ugly.
It was
It-
dull and ugly.
That's not even like up for debate.
Yeah, like there's almost nothing salvageable about a photorealistic art style regarding that series because characters do not translate well. We saw what happened to Arthur, and we all know what happened to Dante's face.
Oh yeah, Arthur.
Yeah.
You mean
Okay. So Dante and Chris and Frank West are very special cases because they
Yeah, they're
are
extra.
realistic human beings. They are based on real people. They
And
just
not
didn't
to-
give a fuck.
Not to
Yeah.
men-
There's
not
a
to
there's a
mention-
lot of credibility. Excuse me again. I don't know how to speak. But there is a lot of credibility to a theory that was going around for a while that Capcom just abandoned MVCI mid-development because they saw how badly it was going. And every time I look at that game, it feels more and more true.
Well,
No, it's just that they didn't give a shit. They saw the public reception and they were like, fix Chun-Li, and then they just finished the game.
well, not
They
only
saw
that,
public
but,
reception and said that's a lot of work, and said fuck it. That's what
well,
happened.
not only that, but wasn't correct me if I'm
So-
wrong, but wasn't Dante's model just ripped directly from 3? And they
Most
just swapped the text
most
picture?
of the
Veterans.
the veterans were just MVC3 models. Maybe poly count was upped a little bit, and
So-
they were given realistic textures.
Shadow
Okay,
Link,
so
I know,
it's-
like you have like a bit more of like a cynical take on like game development because you've seen like the ins and out of it like a little bit more than some of us have. But I played MVCI very recently for like a pretty extended amount of time, and like having like had my hands on MVC3 and then had my hands on like MVCI. I feel like very confident in saying, compared to the other Capcom games that come out and how polished a lot of those lately have been, I feel like MVCI is the kind of product that could not have been released in the state that product was released in unless they were actively aware that it was going to fail. I fully believe that game was purposefully sent out to die because they knew that it was unsalvageable.
That's possible. That's very possible. But also, there's the whole thing with they couldn't make a full-on game because of requests from Disney for a story
Yeah.
mode and
I was gonna
more
say-
And that
MVC.
ate- yeah, that ate, like, half the
and-
resources,
and
didn't they?
MCU. Yeah.
Not only
All of the story cutscenes most of them are pre-rendered, and that takes a while. And they were also outsourced. They were outsourced the animation. They didn't use their normal mocap animation studio, which is
Yeah,
Just
they
Cause.
used a
They
studio.
used one of Square Enix's.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because it's actually been brought up. Square Enix did the mocap on the game, and it's very obvious because of the way that characters move around like they're in Power Rangers. It's
Well-
the funniest thing.
Well,
They
you
move-
say that, but most of the mocap for the other Capcom games are done by Power Rangers actors.
That's true.
So...
That's true, but like with
And it
Capcom,
takes
it's like part of the
zero.
charm, and they're like moving around and they're animating. Whereas with Square Enix, they move around like Final Fantasy 15 characters, where they're like trying to look like they're in an action show, but they're failing.
I feel like
They look like
the
puppets.
accurate
It's not
represent
like,
the accurate comparison here is not Power Rangers, but rather Kingdom Hearts.
Did
God,
somebody
you're right. I
summon
hate
me?
it.
I hate that you're right, my man.
Hold on. We're on.
I
my
just
stuff.
imagine the awful scene in MVCI where Dante walks into the throne room that Ultron Sigma is sitting in. He's just like, "You've got no soul, no way to contain the stone's power." And I'm just imagining that being Sora, and I'm losing it.
Dante's
I've heard stories. Ruben Langdon is a very, very, very
interesting individual.
interesting individual. And when he doesn't like a project, you can fucking tell. I assume that he was happy to be playing Dante again after so long, but I get a very Devil May Cry the animated series vibe from his work on that game.
Yeah. Well, not only that, it's like everyone's performances were in a weird situation because, like, not only could they not get a majority of the actors for the respective VAs back from the previous game because they were unionized. It's also pretty clear that like they were on a time constricted as well as budgeted schedule, so they couldn't if they wanted to.
I'm pretty sure the script like only had one draft actually.
I would not be shocked if I'm completely honest. I would not be shocked if the story
And
script
since
was like
everything was pre-rendered,
Mhm.
it's locked in, so
Mhm.
they had to do that first. So they had to get that done.
the fact that any cutscene with Chun-Li is pre-rendered means that they had to re-render the entire scene with her new face, which is yeah, like that resource management during that production was fucking abysmal.
At least with the RE engine, they can run cutscenes real time now. Not that it's gonna really like help the fact that animating a story mode would still eat up half the resources.
Oh
Yeah.
no, they can run cutscenes real time in UE4. They do in the game. It's just easier to pre-render them.
True.
Yeah. That being said, I'm going in with the expectation that Marvel 4 probably won't have a story mode aside from the same shit that we see in every other Marvel arcade story where it's like X villain has crossed over these worlds and now they have to work together or fight against you, blah blah blah. Just for a traditional arcade experience.
That's my in. Okay. So, Marvel Newcomer. I feel like the next big villain is going to be Loki.
Loki, I think, is almost instant lock for a newcomer.
He's getting his own TV series.
Yeah, he's so
Yeah.
popular as well.
Loki is ridiculously popular, but before we move on to the Marvel newcomers, I
I want to add Virgil to the Capcom Veterans because I'm pretty confident that he'd be there.
Virgil from the Special Edition series.
My question more so was, are we content with these newcomers? Because, I mean, veterans on the Capcom side. Because for some reason, I don't know why, I kind of want to say that I don't think Spencer or Arthur would come back.
I actually want to say no, because I've been trying to bring this up for a while, but we got on a bit of a tangent. Because
I didn't want to interrupt.
Yeah, it's like, with the exception of like one more space for a Capcom newcomer, looking at like the list that we have now, this would be it, which means that our Capcom newcomers, which is where most of the interesting like diversity and like fresh faces could come from in a roster like this, that means that most of our Capcom series would be veterans except for 3 newcomers.
Yeah.
Unless you count Mega Man and Dante getting new movesets as newcomers, in which case I guess that's fair.
Yeah. Well, this is a strange position we're in, mainly because like when we say Capcom Veterans, we do want to see characters like Captain Commando make the jump into a 3D fighting game, you know, in this style, because we haven't seen him since 2, and that can apply to a lot of the Marvel cast we might discuss as well, because some of them haven't been seen in well over 2 decades. Like, we haven't seen Rogue, we haven't seen Gambit, we haven't seen any of those guys make the jump. And we're inevitably going to talk about them because not only are they characters that people want back in, but they're also characters that most likely are not we want back in. But the issue lies in, do we count them as new characters because the chances of them revamping their whole moveset in, you know, for the jump to next generation versus staying the same as they were 20 years ago is a discussion that will basically make or break the fact that they are new or not.
I feel if they are from 2 or earlier, they can count as newcomers if they're redone.
Yeah, like Thanos, for example, is the ultimate example of this is not the same character as they were prior.
I feel like we're fucking up a little bit with this roster because in MVC3, there were 2 Capcom series that had 3 characters right off the bat, and those were Resident Evil and Street Fighter. And we have 1 Resident Evil character and 2 Street Fighter
and 3 Devil May Cry characters.
Yeah,
I feel like Devil May Cry will make the jump to 3, but
I don't think that
kind of
we
need
3 base roster. I feel like we'd have Nero and Dante.
Yeah,
I think we should trim it down.
Here's the thing about Virgil is DLC, because Shadowlink made the argument that Virgil would be based game because they know how popular he is and because you could reuse assets from Dante. But I would say that like the fact that Virgil is such a popular character, but he's also not a necessary character, and this is coming from somebody who has like a known like man crush on Virgil.
Plays Bury the Light 3 times in a row.
I did, but this is coming from like a huge Virgil fanboy. But Virgil is a character that is extremely popular and would sell very well as DLC, but is also not technically a necessary addition, and is also not a newcomer. So he's a popular character, a veteran, and a character that has like some existing data from characters that would already be in the roster. I feel like Virgil is as far of a DLC lock as you can get. I don't think he would be based
Yeah.
What I think we should do,
I
we should
I
lock
think
it
you're right,
to 12 veterans.
because Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, one of the first DLC characters we know they were working on
was Virgil.
Virgil.
Yeah, Virgil. Virgil, in terms of like a character, is like he can go either way, but regardless, he's getting in.
But
Unless
Virgil's also a season pass seller, guys.
That's
Like, a
what
lot
I
of
was
people
thinking.
will buy the season pass.
People will
just
buy the
for,
$40
Virgil
game
and a
for
Marvel
Virgil.
character.
Yeah, and
So-
I'm gonna hate to say it again, but Venom's probably gonna be DLC to be that extra pool yet again.
Yeah.
I want to
Venom.
say Virgil and Venom are probably the DLC sellers for this game. And Virgil and Venom are just doomed to be the DLC characters.
I think
Guys, I think
Um,
Huff has been trying to talk for like 5 minutes.
Yeah,
think we should let
it's
Huff
been more
talk.
like 10. Okay, so in regards to the Capcom Veterans, we have Monster Hunter, Phoenix Wright, Arthur, Strider, Hagar, Captain Commando, and Spencer. And I guess Virgil at this point. The reason why I want to bring this up is that I think that Virgil makes the most sense out of all of these to be DLC, because he is a very beloved character. And yes, he is based on like Dante, but that's why I think that he would be very good DLC rep, because and also they most likely want to push the newcomer for Devil May Cry, because Devil May Cry 5 is the best-selling Devil May Cry game, and Nero was the main selling point.
Yeah, Nero's a
add
lot.
Nemesis. Add Nemesis to the Capcom Veterans.
Yeah,
I
the reason
was-
why I bring this up is Monster Hunter and Phoenix Wright. I feel like those two are the safest out of any of these to be locks, because Phoenix Wright and Captain Commando are the two characters not MVCI that I see talk about the most for Capcom.
Yeah. Well, Captain Commando has been a talking point since Marvel 3.
I've seen
Yeah.
5 people today alone, when MVCI was brought up, mention that the reason that they didn't buy MVCI is because Phoenix Wright wasn't in it.
I feel
Yeah.
like also though Phoenix Wright's popularity is in a weird state where it's more popular than it does have sales. Especially in Japan, it's got more popularity in Japan than anywhere else. I feel like of all the Capcom franchises, I feel safe in saying that the Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney franchise is the most pirated Capcom franchise of them all.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they do not know how well that series is actually doing.
Well, like, it's a visual novel, so inevitably, like, people are going to, like, watch it on YouTube and stuff like that. Because, like, paying for a game versus watching a game that you're basically watching anyways is a discussion for another time. But,
That's
like,
true.
yeah, Ace Attorney is in that weird position.
So I want to
Yeah.
say, I'd say we could let the Capcom Veterans, we could deal with that, and then we could get to finally being done with the veterans and talking completely about new stuff after a short break, because somebody mentioned it in the chat a second ago. I think Ghosts and Goblins is like a legacy franchise, and so is Final Fight. And these franchises are franchises that are like big classic games for Capcom. But at the same time, I would say I see so many people asking why Arthur and Hagar are back. Same with Spencer. That I want to say we should just cut Arthur, Hagar, and Spencer. Even if, as long as Combo Fiend is working, those guys are coming back.
Yeah,
Well, I was going to completely agree with that. I was going to bring that up myself. The only one that I was going to say not on is Hagar, and that's not because he's my main. That's literally just because, like, MVC doesn't really have that many characters with grapple.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up for a moment.
I feel like Hagar would get in explicitly just for a niche,
So-
filling a criteria.
So you're gonna cut the other grapple character?
Yes, but the thing is, nobody likes Spencer.
Well,
Shut the fuck up!
The thing about Arthur, Hagar, and Spencer is it's like, the thing is, we forget that Bionic Commando has been around since the era of the NES era. And the thing is with these franchises, like, they're legacy franchises. They're not as popular as the other ones, but they're known well enough by the Capcom community to, you know, to warrant them being there. But at the same time,
It's
you
time
did
for
bring
something
up
new.
like, yeah, you did bring up the fact that it's like people were wondering, why is Arthur here? Why is Hagar here? Why is Spencer here? I think as an issue in Marvel Infinite explicitly, I think that was also a general response to the more popular characters getting nixed, because, you know, after Ultimate 3, when you see characters like Phoenix, Joe, Amatera, etc., who are just like widely popular in comparison to like the other three, they or at least by fans,
not Joe.
Joe's not popular, but Joe's a fan favorite.
Joe's a fan favorite. That's what I'm mainly talking about, is fan favoritism versus sales-wise. Like, Joe, in terms of, like, people talk about Beautiful Joe, they want more Beautiful Joe, etc. They like Okami, same thing goes for, you know, Virgil, like, just being included. They're in that position where I think people would have been fine with them if they were in, so long as their other favorites were included as well. So they're in that weird sort of category where it's like, they matter to Capcom, their legacy franchises, people like them, but they don't like the idea that other characters miss the train going into Infinite versus, you know, they're included.
Yeah.
So it's a weird situation.
I feel like one of these three is safe. I feel like two of them would go, though.
I was going to say, I think all three of them should go, and I know that we are lacking in grappler characters, but I was actually going to get to that when we get to the Marvel Newcomers.
Yeah, I have a couple of grapplers in mind, too.
Okay, so with
including a fast
I feel like Strider's not safe, actually.
really,
Well,
because Strider's a mainstay.
Strider wasn't in Marvel vs. Capcom 3.
He was an Ultimate.
He was in Ultimate, yes.
Yeah.
He was the one that they cut for time.
Well, it wasn't even time. It was a legal issue, if I recall.
Yeah, it was
Because,
Kaku.
Yeah,
I feel like the fact that Hiryu has been in every single Marvel game except for Vanilla 3, and he was in Project Cross Zone 2 and Namco X Capcom, shows that Hiryu is he's not in Morgan tier, but he's close to it.
Okay.
He's
a
very
versus
popular
series character.
Yeah, he's very much a versus series character, not to mention his reboot franchise launching back in 2014. So Capcom has reason to care about Strider. They very much have been trying to push him back into the limelight, especially since it's like this character is very beloved by fans, but he's not as like a big name. Like his franchise isn't as huge. He's in a similar situation to Joe and Phoenix, where it's
only the new game has actually sold well.
Yeah. So
All right.
I feel like even Strider, you can even say he's a mainstay because he's been there since day one.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. I'm
coming at this from a perspective of a MVC3 player because I was not around for the stuff before while it was still popular.
Yeah, I'm
Alright.
kind of in that boat, except for Amigo.
I swear to God, I'll get the back.
All right,
All
so
right,
we
so
are
should we
going to
get-
take a quick break here, and then we will regroup and then talk about the newcomers.
Raw.
Alright.
Okay, so now we're back from break, and we are back looking at the list. So this will be a good time to recap the list that we've gone through so far. Capcom veterans are Ryu, Chun-Li, Morrigan, Mega Man with a moveset based on Mega Man 11, Zero, Chris Redfield, Dante with a new moveset based on DMC5, Strider, Monster Hunter, Phoenix Wright, Nemesis, and Captain Commando. Our Marvel veterans are Spider-Man, Iron Man, Captain America, Hulk, Thor, Thanos, Black Panther, Captain Marvel, Deadpool, Wolverine, and Doctor Doom. Our Marvel newcomer is Loki, and our Capcom newcomers so far are Juri and Nero, and there are two more, let's say, placeholders that we can get talking about right now.
Oh, we
before
forgot
we-
Frank West.
Oh,
yeah.
I forgot Frank West. Poor Frank. I love Dead Rising 1. I'm sorry.
Clearly, you
Yeah.
didn't love it enough.
Yeah.
Frank, we love
Well,
you.
This is the part of the video where I put a sad picture of Frank West.
The neglected. It's the nice cousin that's always neglected.
I
Put in
like
the
how
sad fun
the people making Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite
Did a
with
better
no
job
oversight.
did a better
Yeah,
job
they-
handling Frank West.
yeah,
than, like
they-
Capcom Vancouver,
they-
whose sole job was to make Dead Rising games.
Yeah, they understand fans a little more because they brought back the classic voices for Chris and Frank West
Yeah.
instead of using their new actors and designs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess going off that notion, Capcom Newcomers, and for the first character on our list, it's a controversial pick, Scrooge McDuck from the DuckTales
Shut
NES
up.
game.
Yeah, from the DuckTales game.
God
Bless
damn
you,
it, Omega.
bagpipes.
We almost got through the discussion without you bringing up Scrooge McDuck.
Well, technically, wouldn't he be a Marvel character?
After we had the MVC kill the cast the other day, I was like, he's gonna bring up Scrooge McDuck when we do the video.
Oh my god,
I mean,
they
like,
could,
Scrooge
they
McDuck
could.
could get in technically because you know
Disney.
They can.
Disney, Capcom made the DuckTales game.
I'm
DuckTales Remastered was pretty popular. No,
Yeah.
let's not talk about him.
You get that out of the voice chat. I accidentally skipped out of the voice chat. Hold on.
Have
There
fun.
you go.
Fucking
No more doing that.
Wait, but hear me out. Aladdin is made by Disney, and
Stop.
that Aladdin game is made by Capcom.
Stop it.
The Capcom Aladdin game is the one that people don't like.
But it might be the return of Jafar finally.
The bit is over. We can't do this anymore, boys. Hurry before someone.
Besides, if there's a
brings up
Disney
Skywalker.
character, we all agree it's Elastigirl.
Let's
Yeah.
get back on
Okay,
topic
let's talk about
because
newcomers. How about Akira Rival Schools?
Raw.
Yeah, we mentioned Akira before, but I guess while I was away during the break, somebody mentioned Rival Schools again.
rival schools could be
Definitely,
coming back. They're
schools
they're
coming
giving a big
back.
focus on Akira as the newest Street Fighter V character. So I believe if anyone from rival schools would be getting in, it would be Akira.
Here's
Yeah.
Akira, and if it's not, I don't know. It's like if it's not Akira, I want to argue it's somewhere between Batsu and Kyosuke, just because they've had like weird like appearances and like let's see, it's like Kyosuke like showed up in Capcom versus SNK 2, and like he was the only rival schools rep, and then like then Batsu like shows up in Tatsunoko versus Capcom, if I'm correct. And they also,
Wait.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Wait,
Uh,
you said that Kyosuke
yeah, there
was
was like some,
Marvel.
there was like a
No, Kyosuke was in CVS 2.
Yeah,
Kyosuke was in previous two. Batsu was in Tatsunoko.
Yeah, the only thing that Rival Schools has ever gotten in the Versus series were those card inclusions in Ultimate 3.
Yeah.
But otherwise, they have been absent from the franchise. And I feel like with Akira being the popular choice and the one that Capcom has focused on being the DLC character for Street Fighter V, I feel like your chances of getting in over, say, Batsu are pretty high. Because, like,
Yeah, for sure. But I'm
With-
just saying, like that's if that's not going to be the case, then these might be the other options. Because otherwise,
Yeah.
I wouldn't see them put in rival schools like at all.
Yeah.
yeah. Well,
Because like, who wants? Because like, you know, like realistically speaking, like they wouldn't add in like Tiffany or like the ninja dude or the violinist. They wouldn't add any of those because you know. They don't
This
really
is
know.
gonna sound really mean, but I think you've said like at least 7 times in the last sentence.
You know, it's really, really uplifting to hear that coming from you.
yeah,
Because I remember we did that podcast, and the first thing that pretty much anyone would ever mention was that how many times you said like.
well, yeah, that's
Like,
because
I
I
don't
can't
know.
speak. I don't know how to function and create a sentence like a normal person without stuttering like a moron.
So
At least you're not
then
thinking
your way
wrong,
of coping is by
that
making
would
fun of other people that can't make senses.
Yes.
people who can't form sentences.
Kaijin no
So
Sookie from Onimusha, that's who.
yeah.
Yeah.
So the next character is Sookie from Onimusha, who is in Tatsunoko versus Capcom. The reason why is because they definitely tried to bring Onimusha back, and I think they still will. But I think the next game they're going to do is Onimusha 4, which was the first game and only game in the series to have protagonists that did not use actors' likenesses, so they did not have to pay royalties.
Yeah, because I know the popular choice is Samanosuke, but likeness, paying royalties for one's likeness is probably a huge pain in the ass. Let alone for a franchise we're already paying royalties to use another studio's IP.
Yeah.
It's like characters like Dante and Frank West are based on likenesses, but those likenesses are like pre-licensed. They pretty much come as a package deal. I think one Ninten Z, who has actually made the claim in the past that his father was the person who Frank West's face model was based on.
Yeah, for the first game.
Yeah, said that when his father signed that deal, the deal actually said that they were allowed, when that contract was signed, to use the likeness for Frank West in pretty much anything that they wanted to without having to contact him, which is why Frank West gets to appear in so much stuff despite being based on the likeness of a real person, is because they don't really have to worry about it.
I think the fact that they went for non-famous models after Onimusha, that probably speaks a lot.
Yeah.
Because, like, the first 3 Onimusha games, especially the third one, I can't imagine that it would have been very cost-effective.
Yeah, especially going forward, like, years and years later after those, after the trilogy basically, like, happened, it would be foolish to try to renew contracts and, like, hey, we'll pay you a shitload if you can get this character in this game that you're probably never going to bring up in your career again.
So, the protagonist, Sami no Sosuke, he is in Onimusha 4 as an old man.
Yeah.
So they don't have to use his face.
They basically changed him to an old man so they wouldn't have to be like, oh look, here he is. It's Samanosuke.
Yeah.
So MVC actually said in the chat that he'd like to take the floor next to talk about Darkstalkers.
Before that, I have one more character that I think is going to be a guarantee. And that is a character from the most recent successful Capcom franchise, which is Dragon's Dogma.
Yeah, you're right. We haven't talked about Dragon's Dogma.
So it just got a Netflix adaptation. Itsuno has been talking about making a sequel. He really wants to make a sequel. It had a popular MMO in Japan. It's got over 5 million sales like overall, and who knows how many people played the online game. So I think the character they would include is the character you play as in the prologue of Dragon's Dogma, who also happens to have the default appearance of the protagonist anyway. So his name is Savan, and he also has a partner named Saddle, I think? Sald or something, some shit. So the core thing with Dragon's Dogma is that you form your own party with these things called pawns. And they do not have a character other than Phoenix Wright, who is multiple in one. And I think Savan and Sald would be a very, very cool.
Savan will be the V function.
Yeah, basically. Maybe there's like a button you can do to have them come out, because they basically like they have the same equipment kind of, but they could function differently. They could carry different moves from Dragon's Dogma. There's so many different moves. It's not Devil May Cry deep, but it is a very, very even middle ground between something as simple as like Zelda and Devil May Cry. There's just so much to bring from Dragon's Dogma that I think he'd be an easy fit, and they're definitely like looking to keep working on that franchise. So guarantee, I think.
So other than Savan and I guess the Arisen, is there any other like characters from that game that would like work as inclusions if they wanted to go for somebody that's like more of an established character?
Maybe if they did giant bosses, they could include the dragon.
The dragon. Does he Dogma?
The dragon of the Dogma. I forgot what his name is because he doesn't have a fucking name in the Netflix series.
Let's add Envy from the Dragon Dogma series.
But it's, I guess we could put Savon down as like Savon / the Arisen.
Yeah, sure. Because I don't know what they'd call him, but he is the default appearance.
Mm-hmm. There we go.
Alright,
So-
It's Greg something.
do you mind if me and APC take the floor for a bit and talk about Marvel real quick? Okay.
Yeah.
Grigori
hold
is
on,
the
I
name
can-
of
I
the big
can
dragon. Grigori is
I-
the name of the big dragon.
Yeah. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to join the floor or not, but I can also discuss some Marvel decisions if you'd like.
Oh wait,
I have a list of some Marvel characters that would be cool.
I had
One of
one
them-
thing Capcom left that I wanted to talk about.
Yeah, let's cover Capcom first, then we'll get to Marvel. So
Yeah.
APC, take the floor with
Alright.
Darkstalkers.
Alright, so it's pretty much every single MVC game has had more than one Darkstalkers character. And, like, we had Isienko and Felicia
Mm-hmm.
in Marvel vs. Capcom 3. We had Jada in Infinite. And I think that there's a good chance we might see another one in another Marvel vs. Capcom game. But I see Dimitri and Lord Raptor talked about a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But the one that I would pick personally is I'd go for BB Hood. I feel like it's a nice contrast to the rest of the Marvel vs. Capcom cast.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just like the idea of Little Red Riding Hood mowing down Captain America with a fucking rifle.
I do think that BB Hood would be like a good choice for a newcomer, if not for the fact that she's a veteran.
Ugh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, because BB Hood was in Marvel too, whereas
Yeah.
characters like Dimitri and Raptor are as popular as they are as suggestions because I don't think they've had the opportunity to be in a versus series game yet. Of course,
Yeah.
Dimitri was
They're
in
in the-
SVC.
They're in
But-
the card
They're in the
versus
card.
series.
Yeah. Well,
Dimitri was in both Project X Zone,
Yeah, for what
Project
it's
Cross
worth.
Zone games,
Yeah,
and
Dimitri was in that.
Namco Cross Capcom.
Lord Raptor was in Project Cross Zone as a villain unit too, but so
well,
we're like Darkstalkers
Dimitri
has a lot of characters
Dimitri was
in those
playable
games.
though, and he
Getting-
was paired up with Dante, I think.
He's
Yeah,
paired up with
he-
Morrigan too when they
Yeah.
added Virgil.
the thing I wanted to bring up with Darkstalkers in particular is apparently there are just like reasons Dimitri will probably not ever make it.
Yeah,
that's
it's called
part-
Midnight
like-
Bliss.
Yeah, Midnight Bliss. I was trying to beat around the bush, but Midnight Bliss seems to be his fucking barrier of entry
Mm-hmm.
in this regard. And it seems like whenever they tend to add Darkstalkers, like they generally stick with the more monsterish ones, or at least like, you know, the more traditional movie monsters. Or in this case, you know, literal hopping vampire, zombie, and cat girl. But the one that I see brought up a lot by fans for the Versus series in this regard tends to be John Talbane, who just never gets like anything.
John never gets anything, and it's funny because he's maybe the most popular male character in the franchise.
Yeah, like bar none. Like I will say
It's
I
like him
agree
and
with-
Jeddah.
Yeah, so like I think between like Raptor, Dimitri, and John Talbane as the new Darkstalkers character, I think it's really kind of down between Raptor and John Talbane, just for that reason alone. And Dimitri is in this weird position of limbo, where maybe
Yeah,
he
it's-
could make it in.
I mentioned
maybe then
earlier that Dimitri was an SVC, and Huff brought it up too. Dimitri's an SVC with Midnight Bliss, but the problem is SVC is a sprite-based game, which means that creating a one sprite for every character to be Midnight Bliss into a pretty anime girl is a lot different from having to create a new model for every character. And getting the permission to turn, say, Iori into a cute anime girl is a lot different than getting the permission to turn, say, Rocket Raccoon into a cute anime girl.
Oh no,
Rocket
that's horrifying.
Raccoon.
So we need one more Capcom character. Otherwise,
I
it's
watch
gonna be Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite.
Mm-hmm.
I have a suggestion.
Okay.
Falcon from Power Stone.
I love Captain. I love
I don't think they
choice.
like Power Stone.
I feel like, I don't know, they had like a lot. When Power Stone was like starting, they had a lot of ambition for it. They were pretty good. The first game was a pretty good seller for like the Dreamcast, even if it didn't have a large user base. It was like,
So like
one of the.
Well,
Itsuno talks about rival schools. He talks about Devil May Cry. He talks about Dragon's Dogma. He never ever brings up Power Stone.
I think Power Stone is unlikely.
Power
I
Stone's
think-
unlikely for base, but I will argue that on fan demand alone, a Power Stone character isn't unlikely to be DLC. But for base, it's
For
probably
base, yeah, but DLC.
Yeah, it's like when we get to the DLC, because we've already mentioned in the past that Venom, Magneto, Virgil, and Asura are more likely to be characters that they would hold off for DLC. And Huff has already done us at least I believe it was Huff's doing, has already done us the favor of
DLC
putting
columns.
Virgil, Asura, Venom, and Magneto into DLC columns. So I guess we will discuss DLC. We can talk about that later. But
All right.
I do think Power Stone is like Shadow League. I think you're going in like a bit on like the popularity of franchises. When we we have always traditionally just gotten, outside of Infinite, we've always gotten just weird shit, and that's one of my favorite things about the Versus series. Is because in TVC we got like the quiz game character and like the rival schools, which hadn't been relevant in like ages compared to like what it's like getting now with the new artwork and Akira in Street Fighter. And we got like
Capcom.
Strider and like Jin in MVC1 was weird shit. Hayato in
MVC1
2
getting,
was
like,
weird
the,
shit.
Yeah.
Well, the thing with Capcom and how they choose characters is a lot different from a different. I hate to bring it up during this discussion, but Smash speculation and how characters are chosen.
Yeah, there's a lot less on like what's likely, and there's a lot more on what would be fun and knock people's balls off.
Yeah, like Capcom is experimental with the Versus series, and they are also pretty cognizant of what people want. Like they're fully aware that Jeddah was a popular pick for Darkstalkers, and they did include him in Infinite for that reason. Like otherwise, like they probably would have played it safe and just like ported over Felicia or Shenko. But it's hard to. It's also hard to gauge because Capcom then could have different priorities than Capcom now, and then again, because of all the restructuring they've been doing as of late. So who really knows? You know.
Hearthstone just needs more love, in my opinion, because like I'd say the last time that the franchise was ever really relevant was like Falcon having a cameo in Capcom vs SNK 2.
Well, even then, Power Stone had cameos in Ultimate Marvel 3.
That's true, actually.
So I think we're due for like a niche character as our last newcomer before we move into the Marvel newcomers and then the DLC. And I think that it needs to be a character that is like popular with the fans, but didn't like. It's a character that's like not from a successful game, but is popular with fans. And I think it needs to be a character that represents kind of a niche. You know what I mean?
Hey,
Regina
from Dino Crisis.
Yes!
Oh no!
Can't we talk about Regina when we talk about Jill? I'm kidding. But
Oh, I'm shocked he didn't bring it up. I'm honestly I'm surprised.
I was gonna
Also,
say
we're kind of
we
stepping
don't
around
have a
Neon.
Clover Studios rep yet, and the other two are veterans. All I'm saying, Gene Godhand, my boy,
No.
my boy Gene Godhand.
No.
I could see that happening.
Yes.
Yes!
Yes.
Gene
I
Godhand
can see
DLC,
happening.
maybe.
No, I can see it happening because they were almost done with Gene in Infinite. So, like-
no, they were.
That's
No.
what I heard.
No,
Asura
they-
was
he
Asura was the character that got cut from Infinite. Gene was cut
Gene-
from MVC3.
Gene
Oh,
was
well,
talked
Gene
about.
wasn't
He
even
was not
worked
worked on.
on.
Oh.
Yeah, Gene wasn't.
The
worked
characters
on
we know who were worked on are Frank West and
Yeah, actually,
Dogma.
yeah. Gene got passed over for Frank.
Yeah,
Hmm.
when
Oh, that
the
one.
project was starting production, or at least when Vanilla 3 was in the works, they were glancing over between Gene and Frank, and ultimately Frank won out
Yeah,
because
because Frank was from a game that was actually successful.
and he kind of had a base to work with already too.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Tatsunoko versus Capcom and all.
yeah.
What about Zack and Wiki?
Real Mega Buster.
What about Tessa?
What about
DL.
Dogma?
I would like to point out that somebody in the in the docs, and you look at Capcom Newcomers, Capcom DLC, when they brought up Clover Studios, I just saw this appear on my screen. Brown, would you like to read that out for the class?
Yes, Gene Godhand has been stuffed by one of the anonymous editors into the DLC category, and Capcom Newcomers reads as, and I quote, "Beautiful Joe, fuck you." So open up. Who's the Beautiful Joe fan here?
He's not a newcomer though.
Not a newcomer though.
Hey. That's why I pushed Jill over to DLC.
I would like
Yeah.
to. I would actually like to, because somebody mentioned Regina, and I said we could talk about that when we talk about Jill. I'd actually like to open back the discussion because our Resident Evil representation is just Chris Redfield and Nemesis.
Why don't we include any of like the character? I'm sorry to interrupt, but like, what about what about Jack? What if Jack got in?
Jack Baker.
Yeah,
Jack Baker would have been a good pick in Infinite, but it's past RE7's time.
That makes sense.
He's in a position that Wesker was, where everything lined up for Wesker perfectly in 5. But I think Jack doesn't have that staying power where Wesker was prevalent throughout the entire series.
Jack's
Wesker-
also kind of dead.
Yeah,
Wesker
Jack is
also,
super dead, but that hasn't stopped
Wesker's
Nemesis
dead.
to be dead.
Wesker was dead.
He might be dead, but you know.
Yeah, true, but Wesker's game had just come out while we're moving on to the next game after
Yeah.
Jack now.
Well,
Also,
Can I bring
Jack.
something up for Resident Evil?
Yes.
Go ahead.
We have a character that is very popular and has never been an MVC game.
Yeah.
There's a movie coming up. It's probably getting a remake. Just appeared in a remake,
Leon.
and it's Leon Sex Kennedy.
I've been
Leon.
I've been trying to find a way to bring up that I know that Chris is like Slink. I know Chris is your favorite, and I know that Chris already has the grounds to be worked on, and I know that like there's a lot of people that like Chris Redfield, but Leon S. Kennedy is such a much more popular like character. And so many people said, why is Chris Redfield still here from his RE5 appearance in Infinite? That I'm like, if they could literally just copy and paste Chris's moveset onto Leon and people would still be more happy with it.
Yeah.
I don't think it works like quite as well.
Oh,
if
no,
you-
it wouldn't
if you
work quite
gave
as well
him-
because
No, it wouldn't work. We're just
Chris
I
is more
think-
upper body
People are
focused and
excited
Leon
I think
is more
what
agile.
I think what you should do is base Leon on everyone's favorite game, Resident Evil 6,
No,
I'm
actually
okay
would
with
do
because
that.
he has the most move potential from that. Like,
Alcohol
I'm,
Leon
I'm not
is
even.
actually the
I'm
best
not
Leon.
even fucking kidding. That's like the
Iron
best
Leon.
idea, and that is also the Leon in the new Netflix series.
Hell yeah, dude. I love
God
Jump
damn
Leon.
it.
Also, keep in mind, Leon is the only one of the big 4 Resident Evil characters not to be playable yet.
He could
Yeah.
also.
What about
He
Claire?
might. He might also.
I think Albert is
Claire's
bigger
not a
than
big
Claire.
character.
I'd say Albert is bigger than Claire.
Yeah.
I would say.
Poor Claire is not allowed to have anything.
I would say Leon could reuse assets from Dante actually, because they both have dual pistols.
They
Hold
both
on.
have Rainstorm if you watch the Vendetta movie.
Hold on.
Dante.
Let's discuss this. Imagine if fucking Leon pulls out his short sword slash long knife, and he just does a fucking stinger.
Well, he does it in PXE2.
Oh my god, you're absolutely right. Fuck.
So here's the problem. Leon and Chris are characters that would probably function very uniquely to each other, but at the same time, I feel like you can't justify both Leon and Chris in the base game.
I
You
have a
can,
decent
it's fucking
justification for
Resident
both
Evil.
Leon and Chris.
Okay, you know what? It's not because Resident Evil is small, but it's because they both cover the same niche.
No, they don't. They don't.
One of them punches
But if you
rods,
have-
the other
One of them is an agile guy with a gun, and one of them is a buff guy with a gun.
One
He's
goes
a
like,
buff
hear me
guy based, like, all of his
banter-
moves
Okay,
are based...
also, if I could just be pedantic here, we have no weird shit on the roster that's not a veteran, and we need it. And
We have
I'm
Lord Raptor.
So you're
Raptors
saying,
from Darkstalkers. Darkstalkers doesn't count. Morrigan's been
So-
here
so-
since day
so what you're
one.
saying,
My dude,
Kron-
I included Sookie.
All right, so
I
Kron,
wanted
Onimusha's a million seller.
Onimusha
So
is
what you're
a
telling me
game that has not had a new game since fucking...
Here's the problem. We have all of our like additions to existing franchises and like our popular characters in the Newcomers, whereas we're like shoving all of the stuff that people won't want to pay for separately onto DLC, which is not how DLC marketing works.
we just
I mean,
Yo.
I fucking pay. I would 100% pay for Gene Godhand.
I'd
Hold on, are you
100% pay for Gene Godhand.
are you
I-
telling
I-
me
the
nobody
I
casual
think-
player would
beautiful
not.
fucking Joe?
I think safe bets for DLC are Virgil, Jill, Amaterasu, and that's it. Oh, and Jeddah.
Yeah, I was gonna say Jedi.
Beautiful Joe is such a niche thing. They tried to push it. They gave it an animated series. They gave it 4 games. Never caught on.
I think that's a dead series.
That's what the words of a coward sounds like. Now let me tell you why Joe will 100% sell DLC. 2 words.
So
Beautiful Joe.
I love how
So
we're getting
if-
to the point where
if
we've
you,
been recording since break for like 30 minutes and we've barely made any progress because we've
fuck
been
Marvel.
arguing.
So
Trying to get into
so I've got
I wanna do
I've got a
Marvel
wild
so
card.
bad.
I've got a wild card for
Yeah.
you. Garcia Smith from Killer 7.
No, I'm
No,
in.
not
I'm in.
no Dan.
No, Dan just his Dan's thing is just he has a giant fucking revolver. Garcia
Yeah.
has a briefcase. He can smack people
about
with
Harmon?
a goddamn briefcase.
What about
Har-
Harmon?
Harmon just slowly rolls around on his wheelchair and he like slowly pulls out his sniper rifle, and if he gets it, instant kill.
Hear me out. Dan Hibiki with a gun.
Okay, so I might just not understand what the point of Killer 7 is, but isn't it all like Harmon?
No, it's
No.
all Garcian.
It's all what?
Garcian is the dominant persona.
Oh.
Yes. He
I don't know
only
why I thought
comes
it was-
out.
I thought it was Harmon.
He only comes out because he only comes out during levels if you get fucking killed.
Mm-hmm.
But the entire last level is him
he's
alone.
The super guide.
He does get super powered up actually. He gets auto lock on in the final level. You just press a button and you can immediately shoot some dude in the head.
Soul points have gone to Kyle. Goodbye, Kyle.
Goodbye, Kyle. I like the
Oh, that-
idea of Harmon being our rival to Professor X.
No.
I mean, I'm in.
Oh my
I'm in.
god!
So what happens when you hit the kick?
Professor
like,
X
what
is on
happens
my
then?
Oh my god! Harmon and Professor X might actually be like a really good cross up because like Harmon is kind of the leader in that he is the authority figure and Garcian is his lackey, but Garcian's the dominant persona. He's the one in charge. Harmon used to be in charge though. So Harmon versus Professor X, Professor X is the leader, but he gets passed up by Wolverine. That would be the funniest fucking joke characters you could include. Just both of them goddamn like gliding around on wheelchairs.
You haven't heard my Professor X pitch yet. Professor X is like Captain Ginyu in Dragon Ball, and he calls in the OG X-Men as he
Oh
fights.
no!
So like Beast and Angel and that's how you get Cyclops. There's your Cyclops, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. Angel, Cyclops, and
Okay.
me all would
Okay,
come in and
so-
fight alongside Professor X.
Okay, so
And
on that
Professor
note,
X's
then,
super jump, the angel lifting him up into the air.
can he?
Yeah.
Is his chair floating? Are we gonna have X with the chair floating?
I think he'd be
I like
floating,
the
but it's
Eggmobile.
mainly closer to the ground.
Okay, so I would say that the counterpart for that is the whole fucking Killer 7, and Garcian would be the main character, but the level 3 super is Harmon rolling up slowly in his wheelchair, slowly taking out his sniper rifle, his anti-tank rifle, and then instant killing the opponents.
So are we settling onto Killer 7 as our
Yeah, let's
as our,
fucking
like,
do it.
as our base game?
Let's
like,
fucking
niche
do
pick?
it. Yeah.
Let's do it.
Hell
Alright,
yeah.
Killer 7.
Do it.
I can't believe fucking Killer 7 got onto the roster before Breath of Fire got a fucking grip of him.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up for one of my buddies. He's like,
Yeah, because Kurt is a
y'all
huge
talk
Breath of
about
Fire
Breath of
fan, and
Fire.
he's like looking at this like screeching because we haven't talked about Folu.
Well,
Yeah.
I only got one thing
Let's
to.
talk
I only
about
got.
Folu.
I only
Okay,
got.
let's put
I
it
got
in a
one
new
thing.
category called trash.
I
got
just
one thing.
Okay, you shut up. You put some respect on Folu's name right now.
No.
I just looked at the fucking list. I'm going to slaughter whoever put that last one.
Who put Gino on the roster?
We have a guest
Okay.
Square Enix character. It is not one who has been in a
I
Capcom
swear
game
to
before.
God, we can't escape this shit.
Let's talk. Okay. Before we get to the DLC, though, let's talk about the Marvel newcomers.
Yeah, I have a short...
I know what the fuck.
It's always
I have-
super fun. We're
All
in
right.
Marvel. It's Marvel, babe.
Assemble.
Devil
Alright.
Dinosaur would be a good counterpoint to counterpart to Monster Hunter. Miss Marvel would be a grappler. Ant-Man, it's about fucking time. Nova,
Oh,
Rocket
Miss
would be
Marvel.
good.
Yeah, Miss Marvel's a lock. We need to.
Was Falcon in a previous game?
No.
No.
Was who in a previous
Which
game?
Falcon?
The one that they're pushing as the new Captain
Oh,
America in the
Marvel.
movies.
I was like, they
the
both have
Falcon.
a Falcon.
He has,
No,
he has
no,
not
he has
appeared
not.
in any Marvel
Okay.
Captain.
He's a lock. He's a fucking lock then.
Yeah, Falcon.
Actually,
Are we agreeing that
Actually-
the Professor X idea is a lock?
Are we sure about that?
Yeah, Falcon's a lock. He's the new Captain America.
Are we
Well, I
sure?
feel like-
Are we sure about that? Because he's the new Captain America, but he's also a secondary character to an existing character, and
We
he's
put
not
the
getting a
fucking
movie.
Killer 7 in.
He's,
we put,
he's
yeah,
not
we
getting a
put-
movie. He's getting a TV show.
Yeah, so
instead
is
of
Loki.
Falcon,
To be fair, they have been pushing Falcon as the new Captain America, but they've also had him as his own thing. So if we
Yeah.
have classic Captain America and then we have
Mhm.
Falcon Captain America, I feel like I'm borderline about to say Captain Falcon.
Captain
Uh,
Falcon.
I feel like Falcon might actually be DLC because in Infinite
Yeah.
we had Winter Soldier.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that is true.
Falcon, I feel
In the base
definitely-
game, so I was actually gonna say, you know who happens to be getting a movie soon that is an extremely popular character and would be super raw to see fight Dante in a fight. All I'm saying, we gotta have Blade somewhere
Yeah.
in here.
Blade was
Yeah.
on my
Like,
list.
Dude,
Blade is
Okay.
legit. on
Also,
my
can
list.
people stop
Okay,
editing the...
okay.
Hold on. Let me just say this. You people need to stop editing the thing before we've even said anything about these characters.
we
Yeah.
Yeah.
we're missing a very important character for the veterans.
Mm-hmm.
Motherfucking Ghost Rider.
Yeah, Ghost
I think
Rider.
Ghost Rider would be
Okay,
DLC.
hold on. Because I wanted to talk about Ghost Rider. Because I actually noticed that we were missing him. Of course, we're also missing like Black Widow and Hawkeye, but they could either come back later or be, just be replaced with new, more interesting newcomers. But I wanted to talk about Ghost Rider for one reason. Ghost Rider will probably come back, but which Ghost Rider?
Yeah.
Ooh.
That's what I was
It's
gonna
not
say
going to be
about
the new
Ant-Man.
kid, actually.
It's gonna be Nick Cage.
What they've been doing with the MCU is the Nick Cage Ghost Rider technically exists in the MCU, they're leaving it open so that he can technically exist in the MCU, because they know people like Nick Cage, Ghost Rider.
Yeah, didn't he kind of show up in a way?
He shows up in
he
demon
shows up
form
in
in the
Shield.
TV show.
Yeah,
I was honestly
It's
expecting the Marvel side of this discussion to be a lot more fun, but it's basically just become like the most cynical part of the discussion.
Well,
I
it's
haven't even
both,
gotten
it's both
to it.
cynical because lol. they're
Because
owned by
Marvel,
Disney.
it's. I mean, I don't even blame anybody. It's Marvel. Who
Yeah.
cares?
Well,
Like,
with
two
Marvel,
characters-
Marvel's not fun anymore.
yeah.
Yeah, Marvel has very much become a comic company where it's like, we want people to take us seriously. No more fun shit. Get Shumagaroth out of here. It's like, what the fuck?
It's like
But,
they're
like-
trying to be DC or something.
Okay. Okay. Oh, actually, now that we're talking about Ghost Rider and talking about wanting to be DC, I can finally
No,
get
we
to
are
the.
not putting in Batman.
Can we
We
leave?
can
Can
talk
we
about
leave
that when I
Ghost
talk-
Rider on here? Can we
Yeah,
leave-
yeah. I mean, we
I
can
got
talk
it.
about Batman when I talk about Moon Knight, but what I was gonna say, well, I was actually gonna talk about the Batman Who Laughs, specifically Marvel's pretty much equivalent of the Batman Who Laughs, being a popular evil alternate universe version of a character that has pretty much dominated the marketing for the comics lately, which is Cosmic Ghost Rider.
yeah.
Cosmic Ghost.
Cosmic Ghost Rider is raw and is extremely popular in the comics right now and is super, super sick.
If we're
What-
gonna
what
get
Miles-
Cosmic Ghost Rider, it'll be an alternate skin to Ghost Rider.
I mean, that's fair, but
I
imagine
think
though.
that's what it'll be. But to put it into perspective of those who haven't been keeping up with Marvel Comics, what Miles Morales was for Peter Parker, Cosmic Ghost Rider is that for Ghost Rider. He's overtaking the original character of popularity.
Specifically,
Mhm.
Johnny Blaze Ghost Rider.
Yeah, Johnny Blaze. We have to emphasize that. Not the one in the car, whose name I always
Not
forget.
Not Robbie
Ryder.
Reyes.
Yeah,
Robbie Reyes. There you go.
While we're on Marvel Newcomers, can I just bring up, we don't have a Guardian of the Galaxy, and we don't have Nova, and Nova's getting a movie.
Well, no,
Oh, we
What
didn't
was
include
about-
Rocket Raccoon.
They're not
We
newcomers. Yeah,
haven't actually brought up
better.
I
Rocket
said
yet
veterans.
because we were going to
I said
wait
veterans.
for.
We were gonna wait
If
for
I
the
could
Marvel
bring up
side
a Guardians of the
discussion
Galaxy
to pick up.
character.
Like the
I-
thing with the Marvel.
Okay, you guys are
side-
talking over each other.
Yeah.
Alright, so the thing with the Marvel side of like the Cosmic Verse and shit like that is it's like they're pretty interchangeable. I feel like at this point Rocket Raccoon is probably safe as a veteran because he's been in 2 games in a row. He's generally the pick that they stick with the Guardians of the Galaxy franchise, and like the oddest thing is like he made it in over Star-Lord being an Infinite, so
Mhm.
it could go really either way.
Yeah,
Then
I
pick
think it's gonna
Gamora
be
instead.
Lord
Yeah,
or Rocket.
Gamora.
Guys, I'm going to lose it by the way.
Why?
Because I noticed that we were supposed to have 20 on each side, and I looked
Look
at
at this.
the Capcom side that we spent so long trying to figure out, and I realized we have either 1 too many or 2 too many characters.
No, we have 20.
No, we don't.
No, we don't. We are way
9 plus 4 equals
Yeah, we have
13 plus 7 equals 20.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm a complete moron. I thought we had way more than that because I forgot to take out the one like row that's just like the signifiers.
They got the 3 headers.
Okay,
Yeah.
everybody, Skilled Crom can't do basic math.
It's alright, it's alright.
That's the new Shadow Link can't read. That's our version.
I guess going on to Marvel, like what, like there's not a lot that's really left that hasn't been like added to the franchise already, because a lot of the Marvel characters that people tend to talk about have either A, made the jump at one point or another, or B, aren't feasible. Because a lot of the most popular one I see for the Marvel side is Green Goblin, for example, who is weighed down by the fact that he is constantly on a vehicle.
I feel
Yeah.
like that's doable. It's difficult, but I
That-
feel like it's
wait.
doable.
No,
I
that
feel-
that doesn't. No, that doesn't matter because we had fucking
We had
that
Ghost Rider off the
motherfucker in the
motorcycle.
chair.
Bonock.
Yeah, we had fucking MODOK.
Well, the thing
We're
with
fine.
MODOK is that dude was always flying, but the biggest character trait of the Green Goblin is he is physically able to get off of that thing,
Mhm.
whereas MODOK, that is part of his body.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
he could just like summon it
If you
as
just
a
have
move
him
and
just
stuff.
be on it and just have it be his animation, but still have him move forward and backward like just a walk cycle, basically. But the walk cycle is him floating on it. I feel like it would work.
I feel like that would
You
work,
could also
but I
just like incorporate it into his moveset.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up. The Ghost Rider solution, where they're like, what do we do for this character? Well, have his motorcycle be the super, and that's something that he can easily do, and they can easily like have him just pull it out during if they give him a command flight option.
Say,
Yes, but putting him in as his own character thing gets rid of the dope-ass Spider-Man suit that references the Raimi movie.
To be
Yeah, but
fair,
they can also just come out with more dope-ass Spider-Man supers.
So the thing is, they just signed on Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire to the new MCU Spider-Man movie. So you're getting Raimi either way.
Yeah,
we're getting Raimi, but also
plus we're getting Raimi and Doctor Strange multiverse.
Counterpoint I wanted to bring up to
Doctor
losing a
Strange.
super.
I was actually going to
it'll
mention
be
Doctor
awesome.
Strange when we got to DLC.
Yeah.
Okay.
One thing I want.
Can I say something quick?
Yes.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so you guys were talking about how we don't have any, like, really that many wacky characters anymore. Well, two characters I think fill roles that we don't have counterparts, and are kind of wacky, would be Devil Dinosaur, who's a good counterpart to Monster Hunter. It would be a pretty big character. And then the other one would be Mr. Fantastic.
You bring that
The
up,
thing about
but
Fantastic-
for Marvel vs. Capcom 3, they were planning the entire Fantastic Four as one character.
I still
I
feel
feel-
like that would have had Mr. Fantastic as the base, and then like the other ones help. You know?
Miss
Well-
Marvel kind of covers the niche of Mr. Fantastic, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that,
Yeah, but how
That's
do we
what I was
not have a
gonna-
Fantastic Four?
Because we
Well,
have
I'd
Doctor
say
Doom.
Yeah, we have Doctor Doom.
Yeah,
I'd say
And Doctor
we're
Doom
not
is just
getting
way
Groot.
cooler.
There is
Yeah,
no
the thing-
Fantastic Four, only Doom.
the
I think
thing
that
about
Susan's abilities would be the most interesting, but they also don't lend themselves well to a fighting game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're interesting, but I don't see them working.
the
Johnny
thing about
Storm.
Okay.
Johnny Storm would be cool, but he's basically just a fire guy, and we have people that can do fire and so much more.
Yeah,
Hey,
and
Crom,
then the
I'm
thing
muted.
would just be Hulk, so that's why I bring up Mr. Fantastic.
I would love to have the Thing in the game, but I feel like he would play a little bit too similarly to Hulk, unless they make him a grappler, which would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, but if they were going to do that for anybody that we have listed, it would be Miss Marvel.
I was gonna mention a grappler that's speed-based in the form of Nightcrawler, because you know in the comics, Nightcrawler's big thing is jumping around on people and teleporting away.
I feel like a
Imagine having
speed-based grappler would be
Nightcrawler.
a speed-based grappler with teleports would be a nightmare.
Well, I wouldn't say grappling would be a big deal for him, like it wouldn't do much, but
Oh,
I
yes,
think that would be like part of one of his moves.
Scorpion's
He jumps
grapple
onto
is
the
a projectile,
person.
though, so that's already weird.
I know, that, sarcastic.
something I wanted to bring up when we were discussing Mr. Fantastic, and I think I don't know who said it, but they said that Ms. Marvel basically covers that niche. I'm kind of in agreement there, and also it's like we already have Doctor Doom, but we can also potentially bring back Super Skrull. So really, the Fantastic Four is already pretty much like all their bases covered by like 3 other characters. You have the main villain, you have a character who is functionally, and I hate using that word considering what happened last time that word was used to describe Marvel games. It was functionally just Mr. Fantastic, but like more popular, and the character that Marvel pushes for. And then you have a character who encapsulates all 4 of them. So I don't really think you would need the Fantastic Four, unless you really wanted to go out of your way to like, yeah, we have the rights back. Yes, we can use the Thing, or we can use the Human Torch. So it would be kind of like weird to have Mr. Fantastic there when that spot is taken by like literally 3 other characters who are far more important. And also Reed Richards is a dick, so fuck him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if we're keeping up the trend of kicking out dick characters like Cyclops, I guess that's fine.
Yeah. That said, I feel like in terms of Marvel, there's one character that constantly gets brought up for the Versus series, but for some reason or another has never made it, and that's Squirrel Girl.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I was gonna bring it up at some point. Squirrel Girl is one of my favorite superheroes. I really want that character in.
Yeah, and it's very apparent that Capcom does too, because she just missed her mark because of Rocket Raccoon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like
I think
it
Squirrel
would,
Girl would be perfect for the wackier side of how this series is, because
Yeah.
her main thing is like throwing squirrels at people,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
like
like
using her tail.
she.
I
she
feel like
really
she would.
more-
I think she would work well as like a gimmicky rushdown character,
Yeah.
like very like close to the ground stance and very, very like aggressive like playstyle.
Funnily enough,
Which would be
the
funny
character-
because she's like such a passive character, and her level 3
Yeah.
super would be, her level 3
A bunch
super
of
could just
worlds.
delete one of your characters, by befriending them so that they go home because they don't want to fight her anymore.
Delete this.
one thing
That's the
I
very
wanna bring
opposite
up-
of instant one-hit killing them with a sniper rifle.
Guys, APC wants the floor.
Mhm.
Okay.
Sure, we got one
Alright.
more Marvel left, if
Yeah.
that's what you want to talk
Yeah.
about.
Yeah,
And
I
I
feel like we talked about how we don't have like Doctor Strange or anybody, and I feel like we need one more magic character, because at the moment the only character we have from Marvel that's like practicing magic is Loki and technically Doom, but Doom doesn't use magic in MVC. Blade, yeah,
He
but
practices magic.
my idea is Scarlet Witch,
Yes.
because I feel
she's
there's a
getting
lot of
her own series, and
Mhm.
becoming like a main character for the MCU.
I feel like we just need one more magic character, and while I'd much prefer like stage theatrics Mysterio, I feel like Scarlet Witch is the best choice.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Especially since we're kind of lacking on both X-Men and Avengers characters.
Actually,
Yeah.
like, actually, is that it?
Well,
Let
we
me
have
check.
the entire X-Men.
Yeah,
I
we
just
have
checked.
more-
Professor X.
Scarlet Witch isn't an X-Men character anymore.
Well,
I don't
she.
think Professor X is gonna happen, personally, but I think it's such a good idea that we should include it in our roster.
We
Because-
we
Captain
included
did.
Killer 7. We're including
Yeah.
Professor X in the
Yeah, like,
X-Men.
we included the Killer 7 explicitly for this.
Okay, fine. We can have Professor X. I will argue in favor of Moon Knight another day.
Moon
we
Knight
can do
would
that in
definitely
DLC,
be
I
DLC.
guess.
Which, yeah, we've people have been going off in the DLC section without anybody asking them to. Who's been doing that, by the way?
Not me. The only one I
I
added
just
there
put
was
down the
Moon
three
Knight.
that we talked about being Black Widow, Hawkeye, and Winter Soldier.
Who's been
The
just
only-
going off in the DLC section?
Oh,
I just added Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Oh
I-
wait, we both did.
I
The
added
Waters.
Moon Knight. The only one I added was Moon Knight because I know you want him in.
Yeah, I don't know who did Roller Gambit.
Hmm. Should we clear the DLC section before we get started? Outside,
Well,
of,
I mean,
outside
yeah.
of like the top two in each category,
Yeah.
because we all agreed that Virgil, Asura, Venom, and Magneto are our DLC characters, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
pretty much.
Let's just talk about them.
Yeah.
So I think
We've talked at length about Virgil.
we
Yeah.
don't have a third Resident Evil character. And since we're getting a third Devil May Cry character, Jill Valentine seems like the next best pick, and she's a veteran too, but she'd have a new moveset based on RE3.
She's the
Leon.
Yeah, she is the only character that I could see like going through multiple changes of her moveset, because her moveset in Marvel 2 is very much her RE1 appearance but exaggerated. Her Marvel 3 incarnation is her appearance from 5, which, let's be honest, nobody really kind of liked.
Yeah,
She's
she's
just not
like
used.
possessed and she's all acrobatic and stuff. It's not really compatible with actual Jill, so they
Yeah.
can't bring that over. They'd have to make a new set for her.
Yeah, and then I'm assuming it would be a combination of the stuff she gets in Revelations and the RE2 remake, or RE3 remake, excuse me.
Yeah.
So, like, I think it would be like, she would kind of be an amalgam of Jill stuff, kind of like how, like, Chris and, well, to some extent, Nemesis has some shit from, like, other tyrants. But, like, mainly, she would be, like, her appearance from, I think they would draw from Revelations and 3, but I think 3 would be the design lead.
So let's actually talk about this, because there's been a small discussion in the document. How much DLC should we do?
I think 5 is a good number for both.
5 each.
Yeah.
Fi-
Yeah.
Let's go with
so,
like either the most realistic or the most fun suggestions.
Let's actually do what UMVC3 did, and let's go.
Wait, we need
There's 6. There's 6.
Marvel DLC, Doctor Strange. That's a lock. We got 4
Doctor
left.
Strange is a lock.
How about, you know who I
Let's
think
do
would
what
be an
UMVC3 did. 6 each side for 12. That gives us a grand total of 52. That's a good size.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know who I think would be an interesting character to bring in for Marvel DLC?
Yeah.
Shumagora.
No.
Shumagraph is like the peak definition of like had his time in the sun. To the point
Yeah.
where they had to fight tooth and nail to get him back in 3 because Capcom are weirdos.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Capcom just likes him because he's funny.
Capcom likes him because he's funny and because he's a tentacle monster, but we don't talk about that part.
I think there are way better options for Marvel DLC than Shumagraph. There are several way better options.
If you want a space villain, one that I thought would be kind of cool would be Annihilus.
Yes, I 100% back up Annihilus.
I was also thinking Daredevil for a DLC.
Daredevil
Yeah,
makes a lot of
Daredevil-
sense. I'm kind of surprised he's never been in yet.
Daredevil
Yeah,
is
he's like
that-
Kung Fu. He could be a Shada clone. It'd be easy to put in, like.
I feel like
really
you could do
Daredevil
more
is something
like
fun.
acrobatic things with him to make him like a Shada clone, though.
I was
Especially
also
with, like, the
thinking of
delete
having
buffs.
him counter.
Yeah.
Like
like
him
with-
doing counters.
I feel like with Daredevil, it's like it's either gonna be him or Elektra one day because they're
Yeah.
both generally popular and like. I feel like it's really odd that we've had Iron Fist and other characters, but still not Daredevil, who is significantly more popular, especially in recent years.
Mhm.
So, I feel like he would have to make the jump at one point, but what his moveset would be is a lot more grounded than what. Because I don't know. Because Daredevil's in that weird position where he's not as ridiculous as somebody like Moon Knight, who is essentially Marvel's Batman, but he has dementia.
Mhm.
Or Annihilus.
Yeah, or Annihilus, who's just straight up a cosmic villain.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, I'm not sure how he
It's-
would
yeah,
translate, but I still want him on the face
Daredevil
of
is this
Daredevil.
weird position, like sort of like the Punisher is in, where it's this character that feels long overdue, but at the same time, compared to the other stuff that we could get that feels a lot more interesting, it does feel like it would be like a slight step down.
Yeah, though I will make an argument for the Punisher, but that's a tangent for another day.
Mhm.
I could see him being a like pre-order bonus maybe. Like, cause
That,
you know,
that
there
would
are
just
some
go
types
into the
of pre-order
DLC
bonuses.
category.
The pre-order
Well, yeah,
bonus
that's
is
DLC.
Spider-Man if you pre-order for the PS5.
Oh my
I
god.
was just
Again.
typing that in. I was just
I'm
typing
back.
I
I had to step away for like 2 seconds.
This was the pitch I had when I was muted at the very beginning. I think on take 1. I said, for every version of the game, you have a different version of Spider-Man, who are all essentially different characters. So for the PS4 version, you get Peter Parker. For the Xbox One version, you get Gwen Stacy. And
For
the Switch,
Steam, you
Miles
get.
Morales.
Oh, I was gonna say for Steam, you get Miles Morales.
Oh, for Steam.
Yeah.
Okay, so for Steam, you get Miles Morales. And then
For
for
Switch, you
get
get Ben Riley.
You get Peter. Oh my god.
No,
Fuck
Switch gets
you, I would
Spider-Ham.
never buy that
Switch gets Spider-Ham.
I think it's Peter.
Oh wait, never mind. I take
No.
it back. It's Raw.
The Switch version gets Spider-Man Noir, so it wins.
Okay, you
Switch
know,
version
yeah.
gets like Lego Spider-Man or some shit.
The Switch version.
what
The
is-
Switch version gets Spider-Man.
Wait, which
are you talking about?
version? Which version does Stadia get? Make it as rancid as
Stadia will
possible.
still be around by that point.
Yeah, no,
Stadia
I'm,
gets the 60
Spider.
Spider-Man. That's
They
the
get
only
the
way it matches
spider
the
that
frame rate.
bit him.
Stadia
there was
gets
no
Stadia
Spider-Man.
gets a second version of Frank West in a Spider-Man costume.
Raw.
That
like,
No,
in,
I
uh,
think-
like in Spider-Man 2, where like Jameson's like in the Spider-Man outfit.
Yes,
That'd be awesome.
Jameson and Spider-Man.
Jameson is
It's
the
just
DLC
James
character.
Jonah.
That's
Yo,
it.
yo,
Yeah!
on the topic of giant characters, on the topic of Spider-Man in a mech, he could be a giant character.
I mean, if we're having a giant character,
If we were
it
doing
would
giant
probably-
characters, we would have to replace Monster Hunter with Rathalos on principle. Who put Jonah
the-
Jameson on the DLC?
I
want
now
pictures of
I'm
me as
trying to-
Spider-Man.
wanting wacky
I want
characters.
pictures
Yes,
of me
I
fighting
absolutely
Spider-Man.
want Jason
I'm
as
in.
like a joke character or some shit.
God.
J. Jonah Jameson would be like a counterpart to Phoenix Wright.
J. Jonah Jameson's level 3 is having the fattest nuts on the block.
No, you listen
J.
to what
Jonah Jameson wins by just displaying photos of Spider-Man.
No,
No,
he
like
wins
J.
by
Jonah's
showing
level
up on
3.
the issue of the Daily Bugle.
His level.
That
No, hold on.
standard
Yeah. I was gonna
versus
say, yeah, his
fighting.
level 3 is like Phoenix Wright's where he sends you to jail, but instead it's like J. Jonah Jameson slanders you in the newspaper.
Yeah, I was gonna say his level 3 is his podcast.
he reveals you. He reveals the character that he is fighting
true
as the identity of Spider-Man.
What if you're
like,
Spider-Man?
It's like,
West
like when
is
he,
Spider-Man.
hold on. And he's got like a unique thing where like when he beats Spider-Man, he's like, "You're fired." No, wait, you're not fired. Come back, I need you.
This is awful.
Okay, I think J. Jonah we
we've
have
gone
to
too
be
far.
over the
I love it.
Why the-
No.
Why the-
Think about it like this. Think about it like this.
We
We
can't.
only have one Spider-Man character right now.
Yeah, and it would be a great
We have
joke
Venom.
character.
Venom's already in the
We have
DLC.
It'd be a great
Also,
joke character. that they
we
can
literally
use
added
ideas.
the Killer 7 on this funny principle already. I feel,
But you
I feel
can't
like
tell me we can do another one with J. fucking Jonah
At
Jameson.
least the Killer 7 can fight. You take his name off that list right now. J. Jonah Jameson would
right,
never
fight.
fight anyone.
Dude, J.
He's a-
Jonah would
He's a
fight with like
peaceful
a
man. He has
brawler.
morals.
Yeah. he
Don't
has
let the
morals
Hitler
like
mustache
Spider-
fool you.
Okay, but how about we come to a compromise? J. Jonah Jameson is the announcer.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree,
Yes!
but there should be a character on the Capcom side, and they banned her.
Yeah!
Yeah.
Who would it be, though?
Ingrid. It's fucking Ingrid. They finally
The
give her the
announcer
line.
from the
God.
SNK
It
Capcom.
would be Ingrid, and I hate you.
This is so
I-
I win.
I don't want it to be Ingrid, so let's just say that it's J. Jonah Jameson and Dr. Light.
No, better. It's J. Jonah Jameson dressed up as Ingrid.
What if it was
Okay.
Wiley?
Oh, Jameson and Wily would be a great fit, and they would just trash talk Mega Man and Spider-Man. Okay, I like this. I like this universe that we've decided
I like
on.
that. I like it.
This is good. I would listen to their podcast. Would you?
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Obviously.
Oh my god, there could be an ending where Wiley commissions a bunch of Spider Slayers.
That would be hilarious.
I'm liking this already. Well, we did.
Uh,
We did mention Miles, actually.
Miles would just be an alt.
Miles would be an
Yeah,
alt.
Miles would be
Yeah,
an
Miles
all.
would be
Hold
an
on.
alt.
I wanna explain something, and I know I'm
Miles
jumping
has
the gun a
different
bit.
powers, though.
That's true. But also, I want to get this out there before the thought leaves my brain. So, you know how in every Marvel vs. Capcom game, up
Mhm.
until Infinite, the final boss was always, like, besides 2, always a Marvel villain.
Mhm.
Now, hear me out. This is how this happens. J. Jonah Jameson, Dr. Wily,
I want you to stop talking right now.
and they create like
Okay.
a super mech.
And
It's called the
Okay. Okay,
we
so
only have to come up with 2
Miles
more Marvel
Morales.
characters.
Miles Morales is actually a decent pick because we're already putting Dark Ryu on here.
We're not putting Dark Ryu. We're not
Yeah,
putting up Evil Ryu.
We put on Asura.
I definitely
Asura's-
think
Asura's
Miles
not
Morales is a
Dark
good
Ryu.
DLC
You
pick.
stop that.
He's very, very, very similar.
No, he's not. He's not even. Akuma would be Dark Ryu.
Oh my god,
Gene
did I just confuse those
Yes,
two
you
characters?
did. Asura's
you
the
did.
dude. Asura's the dude from
Asura-
Asura's
how the
Wrath.
Fuck did you say?
Oh
this,
my god.
this podcast is a nightmare. We've been talking over each other. People don't know who the fuck they're talking about.
Why would
When
Asura
do
be
we
in
ever
the
know
game?
what we're talking about?
Yeah.
Why would Asura be in the game? It was a financial failure. Capcom hates it.
We've been over this 5 times. He was playing for Infinite.
What?
Yes, he was. He was in the 6 DLC characters that were leaked. It was him, Lady Jean, and like some other dudes.
I'm putting in Beautiful Joe. Fuck you all.
If you do that, we're doing Gene Godhand.
Yeah, if you do that, we're doing
Yeah.
Gene Godhand. I like how we decided that Gene Godhand is his name, by the way.
Okay,
Gene
can
got
we
hand
get-
and fucking just put Amaterasu on here so we're done with.
I was
fucking
gonna say,
Capcom.
can we?
No.
Can we-
Put on Gene and then in parentheses 3.0 and then close parentheses God Hand.
Okay, Bomb, what were you trying to say, man?
Can it be Ruby Heart for Capcom DLC?
Nobody would pay for Ruby Heart. She's
I
not an established character.
Chance would pay for Ruby Heart.
Well,
Okay, hear me out.
a small percentage of people would pay for Ruby Hearts.
Yeah, but
Ruby
remember, you
Heart?
have Jill.
Okay,
all
alright.
Asura, Virgil.
Guys, can I have
out.
something to say? I know that I brought up this character a minute ago, but there is a sort of niche character that I would like to see as DLC or as a character in a Versus Series game that I feel like is a niche, unestablished character, but is already from a fighting game and has a pretty decent amount of popularity with Versus Series fans, and would be a character like Morgan that is easy to sell based on her design, and that would be Tessa from Red Earth. Tessa is raw, and she would be a great rival for Doctor Strange.
You know, I know exactly why you're putting in Tessa, you motherfucker. I know for a fact it's favoritism.
Yeah, it's favoritism because she's raw!
But also, if she does play off of Doctor Strange, then that would be the pair for that DLC cycle. So I
Oh,
can
that's right.
see it.
We could theme DLC with pairs, so we could
Yeah.
have Jill
That's true,
versus
we could.
Venom.
Yeah, I was just gonna bring that up. And
Jill
Gene
versus
got hand against
Venom.
Magneto.
Yeah.
Gene with Magneto. I was gonna say like Virgil with Magneto because they're like extremists, sort
I have
of.
a joke, but I'm not gonna say it.
Virgil and Magneto make sense.
They both
And-
hate humans.
Yeah, they both hate humans. They both have white hair. They're both like edgy anti-villains that are really popular.
Oh. They both have played a semi-hero role at some point in their lives.
So who's Asura's Marvel rival?
Venom. It's just Venom.
Venom 2.
Wait, actually, hold on.
It's Orange
This is-
Venom.
This is, you say Orange Venom, but I was gonna bring up Carnage.
Yeah,
Like,
I brought it up
unironically.
earlier, and Tyler was like,
Yeah, he brought it
"No,
up
I'm gonna
earlier and I
shut you
shot it down. I mean, to be
Oh.
fair, you guys shot me down hard on Cosmic Ghost Rider, so
Well,
Hold on, I
Cosmic
didn't
Ghost Rider
want
would
you down on
exist.
Cosmic Ghost Rider.
He's an alternate costume.
yeah, alt costume.
So we have we have to take into account that Asura is essentially a god who can beat the shit out of you 10 times over. The only character that is within feasibility to be considered a rival to Asura is Sentry, and he's just not Superman.
Yeah, and Sentry's
Yeah.
a cool character, but I feel like he's not on the radar, which kind of sucks.
Well, if
Yeah,
we're
well, he's
going
not-
with like
What do we
cosmic
maybe
god
pair?
level,
Could we pair
Annihilus.
Asura and Annihilus?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
cosmic, powerful. that type of
Annihilus is
thing.
super powerful, and he's also like Asura is like a buff.
Oh wait,
Is like a buff idealized version of a god, while Annihilus is like sort of like the opposite idea of a god, where he's like a creepy bug man.
Yeah,
Um,
that would work really well together.
I'm still gonna stand by Miles Morales being a DLC character because I feel like they're definitely gonna push him as his own character rather than an alt because he's got his own
I feel like
powers.
Miles and Star-Lord are probably the biggest characters that we don't have.
X23.
Miles, the thing with
X23
Miles,
had her time in
I-
3.
Yeah.
I
feel
think
like
she is so popular that she'll
She'll make
and I
it.
have a pitch. I have a pitch.
Well, remember,
I don't
if
wanna
this
give
game is
up.
popular, it'll get like at least 2 DLC cycles.
I have a pitch.
I'd say this is 2 DLC cycles.
I have a pitch.
What's your pitch?
X23 and Masamune Dante.
Okay, I'm glad you brought up Masamune. I know nothing about that dude's series, but every
Yeah, he's
time,
got 6 swords, so you sold me over.
yeah, he's raw. But like
Mhm.
every time I see him on, or every time I see a Marvel vs. Capcom like suggestion list, he is always there, and I'm like, who the fuck is this Dynasty Warriors character?
He's the main character of Sengoku Basara, and he's basically Dante. He's voiced by
yeah,
Ruben
he's-
Langdon in the 3rd game.
He's
Oh my
he's
God.
black-haired Dante, but a samurai with 6 katanas.
Yeah, I saw the 6 katanas and I went raw.
Yeah,
Second
that
back
character's super raw, and I think it'd
Yo,
be great.
it's fucking raw, dude.
Miles
Let's
would
do
go
it.
great with Kin. Someone brought that up in the thing, but I don't honestly. I don't think Miles is popular enough to take up one of these limited spots. Within.
Miles, what are you
Miles
talking
is so
about?
popular that he's getting his own video game on the PS5 as a
Yeah.
launch title.
His own video
Dude,
game launch title for the PS5 as well. As
Miles was
Miles
so
has some
popular
Spidey.
that they didn't make MCU Spider-Man actually Peter Parker. They just made him white Miles Morales.
Yeah.
I hate
Like,
how
no
accurate this
shit.
is.
No shit. Miles Morales, when he debuted in the Ultimate Universe, blew everyone the fuck away. Like, he was such a huge addition. And
yeah,
then, like,
and then they fucked
he
him
was-
over for a little while.
Well, they fucked him over for a little while, but it didn't matter because then they just said, "Fucking bring him into the main universe." He got his own movie. He's part of one of the biggest games in recent memory, and is getting his own game in that franchise. And he has a sequel in the works. So you can't say Miles wouldn't sell. Like, I know it's very much like but he's Spider-Man's Ken, but he's honestly like.
He's got a little bit more than that because he's got the lightning powers.
Yeah, he has lightning
that's what he's
powers
going
and he's
invisible.
turning invisible.
It's like how Ken also has fire powers, Miles also has electric powers.
Yeah.
Which I see that you guys have brought up, because so far our DLC lineup is Virgil, Magneto, Asura, Annihilus, Jill Valentine, Venom, Tessa, Doctor Strange, Masamune, Dante, and X-23. But when we started talking about Miles Morales, you put Ken on there. I love Ken, but I feel like Ken is a hard sell when we already cut Akuma for being a Shadow clone.
Yeah.
Do you want to replace him with Akuma?
Yeah, Ken actually replaced the Kuma.
I mean, that works.
Sakura.
Here's the thing, I still want to campaign for Ed Falcon.
I mean, we can do one more DLC patch.
Yeah.
We can do one more little like duo, so we can change to like 7 or 8. So like,
I don't
what
know.
would the number round? Well,
I'm not sold on X-23 and Masamune Dade.
well,
Yeah.
here's the thing about
Sengoku
X23.
Basara is fucking huge in Japan.
Japan loves Sengoku Basara. Also,
Also-
Masamune Date is raw.
Also,
Like, I really want Ed Falcon in, but I'll take Date over, like, Ed Falcon.
Sengoku
Alright.
Basara has a stage play, and it's a crossover with Devil May Cry.
What?
What?
Yeah, it's
I'm
real.
still gonna
need to
need
show us
convincing
this
on
at some point.
X-23
Wait,
though.
hold on.
I have a DVD copy of it.
Oh my god.
I-
No
real.
subtitles though, so
Aw.
you're just gonna have to pretend you understand what's going on.
S-Link, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't one of the crossover tires on one of Masamune Dante games really just a Dante costume? So he has 6
Yeah.
rebellion.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't
Oh.
Rebellion. It was
Bisama
it
wants to
was
talk.
it was 6 Alistairs. It was based on DMC1 Dante.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty good.
Okay, so as a bladed, like, sword user type of weapon to go with Masamune, I don't think X-23 is the best choice, because her character kind of dropped off the face of comics when Wolverine was revived as young Wolverine. It just kind of, they stopped caring about her when Wolverine came back. So, I don't think X-23 would make it, but I could see us putting in, like, maybe a weirder, niche character, maybe Silver Samurai.
Silver
Or-
Samurai was like... I could see Silver Samurai if he was a popular character in 2, but I feel like he wasn't used a lot in 2, and a lot of people didn't really care about him.
Yeah. Or
Uh,
maybe
I-
something along the lines of, like, a sword master in Marvel Comics. I don't have any on the top of my head.
I think we
but-
should just add Daredevil.
I think
Yeah,
I was actually
Daredevil
about
was
to say
great.
I think thematically speaking, Masamune Date would be a fun pair up. I don't have any specific reason, but I feel like just because of like some slight similarities in like the thematics of their designs and the theatrics of the character, I feel like it'd be fun to see him next to Moon Knight.
You just
Also, I
really
just-
want Moon Knight.
I
in the
just
game.
really want Moon Knight in the game.
I think
You can-
Daredevil,
you can,
Dracula,
uh,
I'm here. Where's my money, you nerd?
I think Daredevil fits better as
You
like,
can use Daredevil.
yeah.
Because, like, Masamune Date and Sengoku Basara is this crazy, rambunctious young punk who is blind in one eye. Actually, I think he had his eye removed.
Okay,
He's a
then let's
real
do
person,
Daredevil.
also.
Yeah, I think Daredevil would fit a lot better there because
Face Daredevil.
it could be like Master Sensei in the like lineup.
Does
because
Daredevil
you
have any
rambunctious kid
Somebody
Plus,
said
like,
Amaterasu is
Master.
the only franchise not in Teppen not playable here. Is Okami in Teppen?
Yeah,
Yes.
it's the only one in Teppen that's
I,
not here, and I
what?
find it funny, so let's keep
When
it
was
out.
when was Okami added to Teppen?
Maybe recently. I don't
Oh.
know.
I just want to add.
Is there a Marvel character that is heavily dragon themed?
Iron
Shang-Chi.
Fist.
Yeah,
Iron
Shang-Chi and
Fist
Iron
and
Fist.
Shang-Chi.
I do Shang-Chi because that's getting a movie soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's
and
do it.
Iron
No,
Fist
but it gives a shit
flop
about
in the
Shang-Chi.
MCU.
Let's do it. Shang-Chi.
We have created possibly one of the most divisive rosters I've ever achieved to see.
Because
That's
like,
why Okami was added to Teppen this month.
Wait.
Masamune Date he's got a nickname. I think it's the Dragon of the East or something. And his weapons, his 6 swords, he holds 3 in each hand, are called Dragon Claws.
Okay,
I
that's
don't know. I feel like
You are
Daredevil would
selling
be
me on
cooler
this
than
question.
Shang-Chi.
Yeah.
You're actually
Give
kind of
Daredevil the Master Apprentice lineup. type of
Shang-Chi
deal.
would be cooler if they gave him access to that power that he barely gets to use in the comics, where he can create clones of himself out of like energy. But I don't think they would do that.
I misremembered Date Masamune's name. Masamune Date's name. It is not the Dragon of the East. It is the one-eyed Dragon of Oshu. It's
Close
raw.
Pretty based.
kind
I
of
still
raw.
think Daredevil.
I think Daredevil.
I
would
think
fit
everybody
better.
wants Daredevil. Let's just add Daredevil.
Yeah. Blind Moon Knight.
Yeah.
Okay, so with DLC, our Blind Moon.
Blind Moon Knight.
With DLC, our Capcom side is Ryu, Chun-Li, Morrigan, Mega Man Classic with a new moveset based on Mega Man 11. Chris, Dante with a new moveset based on 5. Monster Hunter, Phoenix Wright, Nemesis, Captain Commando, Zero, Frank West, Strider, Juri Han, Nero, Akira Kazama from Rival Schools, Kaijin no Sookie from Onimusha, Savan aka The Arisen from Dragon's Dogma, Lord Raptor, the Killer 7 just as one unit, Virgil Asura, Jill Valentine, Tessa Akuma, and Masamune Dante. Our Marvel side is Spider-Man, Iron Man, Captain America, Hulk, Thor, Thanos, Black Panther, Captain Marvel, Deadpool, Wolverine, Doctor Doom, Ghost Rider, Rocket Raccoon, Loki, Miss Marvel, Falcon, Blade, Squirrel Girl, Scarlet Witch, Professor X, Magneto, Annihilus, Venom, Doctor Strange, Miles Morales, and Daredevil. I see you editing it to say Beautiful Joe. And Daredevil. This is our full MVC4 roster post DLC. There are a couple of things that I think we all would say that we would have liked to have included. I would have liked to had a Power Stone character because I'd love to play those characters in a game that I don't hate playing. I would have loved to add a Breath of Fire character. I know some of you have been very vocal about Beautiful Joe tonight.
Yeah, I wonder who that could be.
But this is our roster at the point that it is now. Do we have anything that we want to change up?
Yes.
Breath of Fire is in a really weird state. Honestly,
Yeah.
Yeah.
he just went through
I'm just
everything.
dumb.
I don't disagree, but
I feel like Okami should be in there at this point. I feel like that's the biggest thing.
okay. What if we were? You know what? What if
Let's
we were
add
to
2 more.
add 2 more?
2 more like pairs or 2 more like
2 more pairs or 2? Well, should we add 2 more pairs or should we add 2 more?
2 more pairs.
2 more pairs.
Yeah,
okay. One of
I
them's
just
got to be a.
Shang-Chi Okami because it's
Oh, I was
Yeah.
gonna say Amaterasu because she is a god, and Moon Knight because he thinks he's possessed by a god. Literally,
Okay.
like the 7th time that I've tried to campaign for Moon Knight.
fuck it, you get him.
Finally,
As long as I get this, as long
kind
as
of
I
as
get
long as
my
you get
going.
Beautiful Joe. Who is Beautiful Joe's rival?
Daredevil.
Daredevil.
Okay, can we have Shang-Chi and Masamune Dante?
Wait, hold on,
Okay.
wait,
Yeah,
everyone.
Shang-Chi
That's a lot of
Masamune,
Marvel
everyone,
Knights characters, though.
This is what will happen.
We have all the Marvel Knights except for like the ones that were in the last game and Luke Cage.
We're lacking Black Widow, but who gives a shit?
We're also lacking Hawkeye, but I like me some Hawkeye, and that's a
Sir,
shame.
don't
But hey.
get rid of that. Get rid of that fucking bro right now. I see that in the corner.
Vegito in the game.
Okay, I'll admit the first time I wrote Gino, this was not me.
This is.
I feel like Shang-Chi is a bit too much. I feel like we have too many Marvel Knights. I just feel like it's like a matter of, spreading it out a bit.
Okay.
But I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, if
I like
Masamune
that.
Date is like you said that he is a hothead.
Yeah.
There is one really major MCU character that I think we all say would be a weird exclusion that we don't have on the roster. We only have one Guardian. Should we just add
Peter
Star-Lord?
Quill. Yeah,
Okay.
Star-Lord.
Sure.
All right, Star-Lord time. So
Even though Star-Lord, I feel like would definitely need to have something to do with the rest of the Guardians.
Oh,
Maybe
he
like
prefers
they are
something.
sitting in the ship when he calls in for like a
We don't
level
have Nova,
3.
just make him Nova.
No.
Star-Lord's cooler than Nova. Shut up. Nova had his chance.
Star-Lord
Nova had his
is rock
chance and
hard.
failed both times.
I feel like I've said
Star-Lord
has
is like
had their chance so many times, but it really is true.
Yeah.
Can I give my elevator pitch for Star-Lord?
Yeah.
Alright. So first off, he's got the element gun, which means he can use water, earth, fire, and air.
Is he the
Second
Avatar?
off, yeah, basically. Second off, he's got his little radio thing on him, which means that he could just, all of his normals could be him jamming out to music and just like accidentally hitting people. Could you?
That would be
Like-
fun.
I'd love it if one of his supers was like him jamming out and like doing like the circle thing where he's shooting guns in like every direction as he's just like jamming out to Redbone.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be even funnier if they got the licensed music, but I don't think they would.
I don't think they would. This game would be expensive enough as is. I also just
But
realized that somewhere in messing with the DLC, we cut Gene Godhand. Oh no.
Wait, how?
So I'm looking up some more stuff about Masamune Date. In the Japanese version, he's a Yakuza type, and his army is described as a biker gang. So I think Star-Lord's a good pick, actually.
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh my
it is.
God.
Oh my god, if we add one more DLC row, then it would be 20 DLC characters, 10 for each company. Let's do it. Let's add Gene Godhand back. This
Yeah.
roster
Why
is
do we have
getting
a
way
fake
too
DLC
big.
Gino got it.
What?
This would probably be
We're at
definitely
9.
2 or 3
Remember when
DLC.
this
I know.
roster was going to be 36 characters? I don't. Now it's like 56.
I love.
Hey guys, we're bringing.
I like
bringing back
how they're.
MVC2.
Remember how it was going to be 36 and then we added 10 DLC for each side because we couldn't narrow it down?
Hey, we said 36 for the base roster.
We did put 36 in the base roster, and that 36
We got
includes
40.
Harmon Smith, baby.
Rob,
I
we
like.
can't count. We need another pair.
I can't. Oh
Yeah.
my god.
I can't. Oh
Alright.
my god, Skilled Karam can't count again. Spencer, screw it. You know what? We have everybody else. Add Spencer back. Who's Spencer's rival?
Nova.
No, let's just fucking add Hawkeye and Black Widow. Make it
Yeah,
easy.
let's just add Hawkeye and Black Widow back. This is stupid. This is the stupidest thing we've ever done.
This is the worst roster we've ever made.
Dude,
Look
no,
who's next to
remember we
Hawkeye.
defended Garfield in call for 4 hours.
Look at those kids.
Why is Arthur in here? Did we say
I was about to say,
Oh, you
why
said
is it
Spencer.
Arthur?
No, Arthur's a better pick, honestly.
Arthur's a better pick.
Fuck
Honestly,
this
Ghost and
character.
Goblins.
Screw
This
it.
is
Put
the
put
worst-
Folu on there. I want Folu.
Wait,
No,
can
no,
we have
no what?
Spencer join?
Know what? Screw it. Put Ed Falcon back on there. Ed Falcon
Yeah.
and Shang-Chi. Screw it. Hand in hand.
Can we cut? Oh wait, hang on. Can we cut Spencer as a character, but just his hand is playable?
You know what?
Wife arm.
Wipe arm.
We can have a costume for Gene Godhand that is based on Spencer.
Yeah.
Can
that
I
would
just
work.
Oh,
Can
hold
we-
on,
talking?
guys. We're adding a bunch of unnecessary stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's a joke.
actually,
I added
I
Spencer's
saw
hand.
that.
I kind of want to discuss the last four a bit. Like,
Yeah.
I know it's 12:30 at night, but I feel
I
like
have an idea.
Yes.
That's collapsed, dude.
Spencer and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Why
Fuck,
was that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Why
pretty
did we
good.
think of that?
That's pretty good.
Well,
This-
Jean Godhand could also be combined with the Winter Soldier.
Tell
I
me
feel
why.
like it fits Spencer better.
Yeah, it does. But
Yeah.
We
Tell
could
me
Now we
why.
got a lot.
Like
We
Jean
also have too
God
many
Hand
now.
and
We need
Black
to cut
Widow
one of
is
these.
weird.
Okay, can
Let's
say-
cut
can
Jean
I
God.
say-
You shut up,
Can
Jean
I
Godhead
say-
stays.
I mean, it doesn't matter. Can we just leave it here?
No.
Can we just say that looking at these like rows and shit, the one with the most DLC?
That's because we just started
To be,
bullshitting.
actually, you know what? In all fairness, that is how fighting games work these days. Like,
That
it's
yeah.
just-
Street Fighter
to be
5
completely
there.
to be completely honest,
Like-
I think that this isn't unreasonable if we get a 36 character base roster and like 3 seasons of DLC.
40 character base roster.
If Marvel vs. Capcom 4 actually does well,
Yeah.
it'll follow
Then
Street
we-
Fighter 5
yeah.
in so much fucking
'Cause-
DLC.
Because
Right
Street
now,
Fighter
yeah.
5 has like 40
DLC
characters with DLC. So if we have a decently sized base roster, then this isn't actually as ridiculous as it looks, but it's still pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, I like how-
What's,
I like
what's ridiculous
So,
about it is this perfectly displays our lack of self-control.
Yeah, no. Look at the shit in the Capcom newcomers and Marvel newcomers. You can tell we're like, okay, we'll start out with Loki. You know, he's a big name. Miss Marvel, kind of popular. We get the Squirrel Girl. Okay, we get the weird ones, and then we just get Professor X and the X-Men.
We get the Killer
But you have
7.
to
And the
admit, it's a
Killer
good
7
idea.
team.
Oh no, wait, we made a mistake. There's no space in Killer 7.
Okay,
Oh,
okay,
fuck.
so instead of Spencer, let's just make Jean Godhand the rival for Winter Soldier, and let's just...
Can we cut Black Widow because
we can
she's
cut Black
boring?
Widow, and Arthur and Hawkeye can be each other's rivals because they're zoners.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that
Each
makes
other's
sense.
rivals because nobody actually cares about them.
I
Also,
care about
Hawkeye
Hawkeye.
would
Screw
probably
you. Piss
have
off.
Black Widow show up in like his level 3 or some shit. Let's
He
be
gets
honest.
Ant-Man back.
He
That
gets
would be
Ant-Man
fun.
back and Black Widow.
Ant-Man,
Imagine getting
Ant-Man.
demoted from playable to a fucking cinematic super.
Okay, so no more changing it. This is our full. How many is this? This is 56 with all the DLC. This is our
Marvel vs. Capcom 2,
Marvel vs.
baby.
Capcom 4.
Marvel vs.
Our
Capcom
roster
4,
is
we were off
Ryu,
our
Chun-Li,
shit.
Morgan, Mega Man Classic, Chris, Dante, Monster Hunter, Phoenix Wright, Nemesis, Captain Commando, Zero, Frank West Strider, Juri, Nero, Akira,
My dude, we have 60 characters.
Sookie, the Arisen, Lord Raptor, the Killer 7, Virgil, Asura, Jill Valentine, Tessa, Akuma, Masamune, Dante, Amaterasu, Beautiful Joe, Jean Godhand, and Arthur. On the Marvel side is Spider-Man, Iron Man, Captain America, Hulk, Thor, Thanos, Black Panther, Captain Marvel, Deadpool, Wolverine, Doctor Doom, Ghost Rider, Rocket Raccoon, Loki, Miss Marvel, Falcon, Blade, Squirrel Girl, Scarlet Witch, Professor X, Magneto, Annihilus, Venom, Doctor Strange, Miles Morales, Star-Lord. Stop editing in the corner, you're gonna make me laugh. Moon Knight, Daredevil, Winter Soldier, and Hawkeye. This is our roster. There's no more.
3.
And then Fighter Pass 3 is Sora, Crash, Gino, Doom Guy, and Idolmaster.
DMC2 Dante.
Yeah, and Nero's
I
in.
I hate this so much.
Guys,
I hate
it was
so
like
much.
12:45.
Gefield being
Bro,
thrown
I
out
am
the window.
tired.
You know what?
I
You know
like-
what? This has gone on so long, and this is going to be such a nightmare to edit, even if I'm editing this in a minimalistic way, that I'm just going to just spend most of this editing shit posting. Anytime we talk about Nero, I'm just going to take a picture of the Nero Simpson shirt that I ordered, and I'm just going to have that overlaid over the footage.
Oh,
Hero picture.
Prom.
Picture of you
Prom,
there.
I just want to specify something.
Yes.
I'm not the guy who did the Fighters Pass 3 stick, and I was really afraid you'd call me out on it because it starts fucking.
Because it starts with Sora, and that's your guy.
Yeah, that's my boy.
Okay, well, I'm going to, whenever I get around to editing this, I'm going to have a picture of the full roster with all the DLC here. I'm so sorry to anybody who listened through the entirety of this. This was a mess. And it was beautiful. I had a lot of fun. Did you guys have a lot of fun?
I had
This
It was
fun.
fun.
I had
3 hours.
I like how this
2.5 hours of just shit posting about a game that doesn't even exist.
Give it up
It's
for
so
day
fast.
15.
Like, no shit, this deteriorated so fast because we were so unorganized on how we were gonna do this. It's like
we were unorganized and everyone had like different inputs on what they wanted, and no one could agree on like what other people wanted.
If I could
Yeah,
just
I tried to
Like,
cut
smash
Beautiful
the
Joe
second.
for so long. You
Yeah,
fucking.
fuck you.
in the
Fuck
middle of
you.
this entire
I got
thing,
him in
I love
after all.
I love how like Matt the entire time was like, we need to get rid of these characters that haven't been doing well. And then when we got to DLC, I was like, and then we add Asura and Tessa and Jean got it.
And Killer 7
And
and
Killer
Edward Falcon.
To be fair,
fact that Killer
and Gene
7
got in were probably me. That was
The
me.
The fact that Killer 7 is in the base roster of all
This is
things.
so good, and this makes me like legitimately really happy. And I think this is actually a more interesting roster than I could have come up with by myself.
Honestly,
Thank you
yes,
to anybody that
probably.
has suffered through the entirety of this. Make sure to have a good one, and we're all signing off for the night. We're all tired.
Bye.